Yo, what is going on? How's everybody out there doing today? There we go. We sound a lot better. There it is. Let me get my sound right. Here we go. What's going on? How's everybody doing today? Yes, we are here Friday. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Get this remote out the way. How's everybody doing? It's Friday. If you made it through the end of the week, congratulations to you, and hopefully you're having a good day. But if you're not, let Mr. Chow break it down to you gently.
Oh, you're having a bad day? Did you die?
I got shot.
But did you die?
And as long as that didn't happen, then you are going to be A-okay. You got another day to get up and grind and go out and get it and make something happen with yourself. Today, we got a good show lined up for you today, man. I'm so glad that we actually got to get on a little bit earlier today. Not as early as I wanted to, but we made it a little bit earlier today. We're going to start to have a set time and set schedule as we run this. Starting next week, we're gonna start this thing at 10:30 Central Time. So we'll be having a set schedule, set time, 10:30 on Monday through Friday. Yes, we will. Yes. So we're going to have all the time in the world to make this thing happen and do what we got to do to get this message out to you, because it is a fun message to deliver and it needs to be heard because we are going through some trying times right now. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff out there going on, and hey, help you get through your work day. And when we started at 10:30 Central Time, if you're in Cali, it'll be 8:30. If you're on the East Coast, it'll be like 11:30. So you'll have like some nice time to, you know, get through your work day, eat your lunch and all that good stuff. I don't want to catch you at the end of your shift. I want to catch you during your shift. So, you know, therefore, if your boss make you mad, you can just hear, you know, you could probably like turn your phone to him and let him hear something like this.
FYM. Fuck y'all motherfuckers, you know?
You may feel a certain way about them, but it's A-okay. We gonna make it through the day. We gonna make this thing happen, man. We are simultaneously streaming on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. And if you are on YouTube, do me a favor. When you see that thumbs up, hit that like button to get the algorithm out. I greatly appreciate you if you do. And with that being said, if you want to contribute to today's show, bam, there's the Cash App and Venmo. Cash App, Daniel2888. Venmo, Danny-Daniel-00. Yes, sir. Let your voice be heard, and we will keep going and rocking, and it'd be greatly appreciated to get some donations for the show, but not necessarily needed, but appreciated, and we'll show you love back, of course. And also, we have our 3 segments that we're going to go over today. Yes, and hopefully y'all have been doing, you know, well throughout this week. But our 3 segments we're going over today is going to be fitness, which on the fitness portion of the show, we're going to talk about lab-grown meat. Yes, lab-grown meat. So basically, you know, we clearly see a huge wage gap or wealth gap forming right now. And it's basically between the have and the have-nots. It sounds like the haves is going to be still eating the great foods of nature, and the have-nots are going to be basically eating whatever crap they make up chemically in a lab. Yes. So everybody's getting McDonald's, even if you go and do even if you go find high dining, you still probably gonna get McDonald's quality food, but it's gonna look good though. It's gonna look good. Your steak gonna look phenomenal. Your broccoli and your cheese gonna look great. All that good stuff. It's gonna look good, but it's just not gonna be, you know, it's not going to be what it's cracked up to be. It's not going to do you a nutritious value for your body at all. It's not going to do you good. Nope. However, we're going to look into that, see what they're going to do with this lab-grown meat, see how it's made. We got to take a look at it, see how it's made and what they're doing, because they sure as hell don't want you to win. They don't want you to survive. They trying to unalive everybody, and they've been doing it for quite a long time. But hey, don't get mad at me. I'm just spreading the message. Then after that, we're going to go into the economy portion of the show. Yes, we are. The economy portion of the show, when we go into, we're going to look at the global crisis that is going on. It's a global housing crisis. It's a glowing birth rate crisis. It's just a global crisis all around. You know what I mean? And it's like happening at a way where most people don't really expect it. So we're going to dive in, watch a few videos to get a better understanding of the global crisis, because it's not just happening in one continent. It's happening in like all 7 of them, except for Antarctica. I think Antarctica, I mean, it's probably happening down there too, but you know, you go down there, they're going to look at you they gonna look at you kind of like, they gonna look at you sideways. They gonna look at you like, what are you doing here, bro? And you're gonna be like, oh, I just came to visit, and I heard that there were some things we could do and travel down here, and I heard there was life down here. They gonna look at you like,
He didn't say that. Tell me he didn't just say that.
and then shortly afterwards, you're gonna hear a little sound that's gonna go like this, and then next thing you know, it's like, and we won't hear from you ever again. But hopefully your trip to Antarctica was nice. But yes, we're going to look at the global crisis that's going on, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at it and see exactly how bad it is. We're going to see the global crisis, we're going to see the housing crisis, and what is going to be done to fix it, or if you just got to understand what's happening and just roll with the economic cycle that's going on and see what we can do to fix it, or better yet, understand it and be prepared and not scared. You feel me? Yes. Then, last but not least, we're going to dive into the AI segment of the show. Yes, the AI segment of the show. And with the AI segment of the show, we're going to look at AI Stoic versus a Hedonist. Bruh. Yes, we're going to see how this works. So you're going to have two AIs, but one's going to be a Stoic and one's going to be a Hedonist. And we're going to sit down and see which lifestyle suits the society better. Bruh. Now, I don't know exactly which one's gonna win. We're gonna see who has better points. We're gonna see who has the better lifestyle. We're gonna see if either one of them even makes sense. We're gonna see if AI can even tell the truth if it tried. You know what I mean? Jesus. All I know is that we're going to look into this AI Stoic versus Hedonist debate between the two, and we're going to see how this pans out. I think it's going to be very interesting and fun to see because, everybody's talking about Stoicism and everybody practices hedonism regardless of how you look at it. I mean, everybody out there practicing hedonism, don't lie. Pleasure seeking's at an all-time high. But, yeah, we're going to see how those two things go against each other, or if they can, intertwine and correlate with each other, kind of like a yin and a yang, you know what I mean? And do the economic cycles. Maybe the economic cycles kind of dictate when Stoicism is at its dominance and hedonism is at its dominance. Or maybe one gender is more Stoic and the other is more hedonist. You know what I mean? You never know. We're going to figure this out. We're going to see what we can figure out because, we gotta discover something because we have to figure out a way how to navigate in this economic cycle and these times is going on, man. You got to figure out a way how to, move and groove with the punches because it ain't easy out here. So you got to figure out a way. You got to have a philosophy, a mindset, a thought, an understanding, a discipline, a structure on how you're going to move forward. Very, very important for you to understand and know this. So that's what we're here to do today, to get an understanding and to move with a focus and purpose of a direction and not fear. We're going to move in faith. We ain't going to move in fear. And that's a word right there. Hell yeah. Yes. Thank you. So with that being said, man, glad that you made it to Friday. Glad that you're here. We're going to go ahead and dive into today's show, and we're going to go ahead and get ready with the fitness portion of the show. So with that being said, let me go ahead and bump that banner up. Bam. All right. So we got the banner going, and then we're going to go ahead and get our sexy redhead Latina to slide on up in here and start the show off. Here we go.
Let's get ready for the fitness segment of the show.
All right, there we go. We got a buff Latina in there for all of you fools who like muscle women. There y'all go. Are you muscle-bound fetish dudes out there that like these women to clamp their muscle thighs around your neck and squeeze you while you got the little bitty gimp thing around your head with the eye socket and the mouth hole going on? Man, she's choking you with your little collar on, with your little collar leash, and she's choking you, and your little frail body is about 110 pounds soaking wet with a bird chest, and you're just in love because she's like stoking you with her big muscle thighs, and she's punching you in your little ding ding and all that good stuff. Oh man, you're gonna be in heaven, boy. You're gonna be right up in heaven. You know you are. Bruh. Don't lie. You was going into her. But I digress. But I'm not lying. Anyhow, let's go ahead and dive into the fitness segment of the show. Before we do, I gotta refresh the screen because they're gonna hit your boy with that super ad as soon as I get it started. So let's go ahead and refresh that screen first, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. But yes, we're gonna check out this lab meet. I'm kind of curious on this lab meet and how this thing works. I've done a show about lab meet before, I have, but this one is a deeper dive into it. We're gonna see exactly what's going on and see it, and basically, I mean, at the end of the day, Here's one thing I do know. If you're poor, they're probably gonna be eating lab meat. You know, let's just call a spade a spade. Bruh. If you're rich, you can afford to eat what God put on this earth for you to eat. So yeah, bruh, that's where we're at. Basically, if you're broke, if you're poor, lab meat is coming to everything near you. Hell, they might even have lab vegetables at this point. But if you're rich and you balling out of control, then hey, you're going to be able to go ahead and point your cow out and be like, yeah, I want that cow over there. Yeah, go ahead and, yeah, that one. Yeah, go ahead and slaughter him. I want to break him down into T-bones, ribeyes, ground beef, chucks, all that stuff, you know? So we'll see how life goes. But let's go ahead and take a look at how this is going to work out. So without further ado, we're going to pull this video up on the screen. Gonna hit that banner right there, and we're gonna dive right into a shout out, fair use to what I've learned, and let's see how this situation pans out. Let's go.
Making chicken in there.
A lab-grown chicken nugget.
Chicken grown in a lab.
Why are people making it?
Climate change.
It's better for the environment.
The environment.
Lab meat is not going to save the planet or the animals. So then why has $3 billion been invested into lab meat startups? Well, to understand the full picture, we'll first have to take a look at the science of why scaling lab meat is not practical at all. Second, we'll look at why no one will be able to afford it. Third, why it could be worse for the environment. And finally, whether the public and investors are being misled by unrealistically optimistic stories.
This meat,
He said nobody's going to be able to afford lab meat. I thought it was going to be the other way around. I thought you was going to be forced to eat lab meat. You know what I mean? To screw with your nutrition if you're poor. That's how I was thinking, you know, if I was a tyrannical dictator that was trying to, you know, destroy everybody in the world in it and bring upon hell upon earth and bring down hellfire and brimstone and, you know, let you guys feel my wrath, but at the same time, not really let you know that I'm waging war against you. But I digress. Let's continue.
it's incredibly unsustainable, but we figured out a way to solve it, and we're gonna have to do it if we want to continue living on this planet.
So either we accept this or we all become vegetarian.
It's better for the world.
At first, I was really optimistic about lab meat. It made so
He said either we accept this or we all become vegetarian. Bruh. I mean, did he really?
He didn't say that. Tell me he didn't just say that.
Wow. That was a bold statement to say with a straight face. I wonder how much you got paid to say that one.
much sense. Growing just a steak instead of a whole cow seemed to be way more efficient. But then I started looking into it, and it made less and less sense. To take cells from a cow or chicken and grow them quickly, they need to be put in a very expensive custom-made bioreactor, filled with a specially formulated liquid made with purified water, growth factors, purified amino acids, glucose, and salts. A cow just needs rainwater and grass. The facility and the bioreactor need to be totally sterile because a tiny amount of bacteria or virus could ruin the whole batch, wasting tons of money. A cow has an immune system, so it can just lay in the dirty grass outside. A huge challenge to growing cells quickly inside of a bioreactor is developing ways to efficiently deliver oxygen and nutrients to each cell, while removing waste products like ammonia, lactate, and CO2. A cow, on the other hand, handles all this really easily with lungs, blood vessels, and its liver. There's a lot more to this picture, but the point is it's very expensive to try and do what a cow, chicken, or pig does.
In a Singapore restaurant.
Or, I mean, I'm just going on a ledge here. Hold on, let me bring your full screen up. Or it's probably expensive because you keep trying to play God. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, honestly, I could be wrong. You're not trying to play God. You're just trying to feed people the nicest way and give them the best nutritional diet. So it's expensive. Yes. Let's continue. Here we go.
There's a recent addition to the menu. This is chicken, but not as we know it.
The lab meat company Eat Just was actually selling lab-grown chicken nuggets straight to consumers in Singapore. But those cost upwards of $50 each to make. For that same price, about 1,500 nuggets could be made from conventional chicken meat. The most common justification for lab meat is that we need it to prevent conventional meat from destroying the planet.
And what is the problem that we try to solve by cultivated meat?
So that we have a planet to inhabit.
President Biden signed an executive order this year requiring federal agencies to support cultivating alternative food sources.
Ezra Klein, founder of the hugely popular news media company Vox, wrote an article arguing that we need government funding into plant-based protein and lab meat to save the planet from climate change.
And we need government support to get there.
Okay, so lab-grown meat is going to help with climate change, all right? So that's what we have so far, because climate change is real, and it's going to cause the climate to change. Climate change, right? That's what it is, right? Like it's gonna get hotter, like, you know, like 105 degrees in Texas, or maybe like 107. But yeah, climate change, where the climate changes. I would just call that seasons, but I mean, that's me using my Einstein brain to figure this out.
But you're getting all these people like pushing the government to fund this.
As soon as you show me it's better for the environment and there's like positive impacts, let's fund it. It's fine. But I do not see that.
On the other hand, Dr. Derek Reisner points out in his PhD dissertation that despite all the hype and investment that has already been poured into lab meat, a detailed assessment of whether lab meat is actually better for the environment has not been properly done.
We're going to need all hands on deck to make these the global meat industry.
One report commissioned by the Good Food Institute, GFI, a nonprofit which heavily promotes and supports the lab meat space, admitted that it would cost $450 million to make a facility producing a mere 22 million pounds of lab meat a year. That does sound like a lot, but if this steak represents the 100 billion pounds of normal meat that the US makes a year, this represents 22 million pounds, a mere 0.022% of US meat production. And 450 million is the extra optimistic price tag. Another analysis put the cost of such a facility closer to 5 billion. What that would mean is that even if we assume that lab meat has zero emissions, if we wanted to reduce global emissions by 1/20th of 1%, we would first need to invest at least $1 trillion just into the facilities for lab meat. This is Dr. Paul Wood, an ex-biopharma consultant and board member of Cellular Agriculture Australia.
Sustainability credentials will have to be earned. They can't just be assumed. I understand the energy intensities. I mean, you're running a whole lot of tanks at 37 degrees. They produce a lot of then radiant heat. So you actually have to air condition your rooms. If you're not using completely renewable energy, you won't be more sustainable.
Your workflow.
Okay, so what we just learned, what we just figured out is that, okay, so if you're going to, let's say if we do the old nature thing, you know, the thing that's giving us the issue, nature is giving us a huge issue right now. Somebody made a mistake when they made nature. That's why we got to do this. So let's just take a hypothetical situation. So we use nature, we get some cows, we throw the cows outside, cows gotta eat what they eat. You know, we get rainwater, they eat the grass, throw in some hay. I don't know if cows eat hay, but if they do hay, see what I did there? You know, then now, the cows are good. You know, they poop, they fertilize the ground and pee all over the place. Then, you know, the cow and the little baby cow, they out there chilling, eating, the mama feeding the baby cow. All right, cool. Then it's time to round them up. You know, you get you a little sheepdog or something, some kind of dog to round up the cows. You pick them up, you take them out to whatever you slaughter, or you bring people in, sell, whatever. So that's how we do that. But then, let's say if we go to the lab meat route. All right. Oh, and also the cows got to go to some kind of barn or some kind of factory or warehouse where, you know, we'll sell it. We for the sake of this, we're gonna say they do ethical unaliving of the cows for the betterment of the society of people, you know. So we're gonna say that, okay? We're gonna say they're slaughtering these cows in the best humane way possible, and the cows have zero fear going into their bodies. All right, then whatever that barn is, whatever you got to pay for the lights, electricity. Okay, we get it. Now we do the lab. Now we do the lab meat version. We got lab meat. So now we need lab coats. All right, let's first start off there. The guys got to have their lab coats, right? Yeah. Now with the lab coats comes AC, because they can't be hot making these lab meats, because then like the food not gonna be all that great, because the meat and the food gonna be inside the lab where they make it. So you need AC. And then you're gonna need a lot more lights to be turned on, so the lights gotta keep running. And we don't know if this is gonna be a 24/7 thing, or if they're gonna shut the lights off after 9 p.m. when they close the store down. Okay, and then what else? Oh, we got chemicals. We need flasks and beakers and different kind of tongs and things like that. And we also need hazardous gloves and stuff like that to take care of it. Not that we didn't need that in the farm, but we didn't need no flask and beakers in the farm. All right. So yeah, we got that. Oh, we need computers too. We need computers to run these lab meets. And so it's sounding like it's adding up pretty quick and it's pretty expensive, but I mean, it's not like you're just competing with God or anything. You're competing with nature. So I digress. Let's continue to see what these guys got going on for us, because again, nature does not know what it's doing. Whoever created nature, they made a mistake, so we got to fix it. So we're going to fix it cheaper and more efficient than nature, because nature didn't think about finances when it was trying to feed us. So let's see how this works.
Sounds too good to be true because it is too good to be true.
In 2021, Joe Fassler published a bombshell article in The Counter that laid out the specific technical details illustrating why lab meat is very likely a pipe dream.
There are multiple breakthroughs that are needed, vast advances that would be worthy of Nobel Prizes, multiple Nobel Prizes.
One of the many experts Fassler consulted.
Nobel Prize for what? To figure out that lab meat don't beat nature. You won a Nobel Prize because your lab, your research discovered that lab meat ain't gonna beat nature. Oh my gosh! This is how I feel with that. Like, this is how I feel. You need a Nobel Prize to discover. This is how I feel. This is how I feel.
Catching bullets with his teeth. Catches bullets with his teeth. Nigga, please.
To your Nobel Prize, blah blah.
Consulted with was David Humbert, a chemical engineer who wrote the most detailed analysis of scaling lab meat yet. Even in the most generous, best case hypothetical scenario Humbert considered, where various economies of scale are included and all kinds of technological scientific breakthroughs are assumed to have happened, he projected that lab meat in the future would still be very, very unlikely to cost under $11 per pound to produce. With markup, that would easily be over $22 a pound at the supermarket. That's over 4 times the price of normal ground beef.
Humbert honestly was being nice in his work. I've talked to Dave. I've talked to Dave Humbert. He was trying to make it work, and he friggin' couldn't. Like, he straight up, he's not going to do things that aren't factual.
In Vox's Netflix documentary, they said that
Mosa Meat says it cut production costs to just $10 a burger.
But I contacted that company, and they said they didn't get down to $10 a burger. They said that $10 a burger was simply a target set in 2019. So why is it
$10 a burger? Okay, so here's the question. Okay, if you're going to do $10 a burger, you need to tell us how much the burger meat weighs, because they're just talking about the meat, I'm assuming. I don't think they're talking about the bread and the veggies and ketchup and whatever else you put on your burger. So if we're just talking about the meat for the burger, how much does this meat weigh? Because I know, like, what, 112 grams is a technical serving size on like a ground beef thing of meat. So what's the serving size, and how much is your burger? How much does your burger weigh? What is the, what's the grammage of your burger? Do you have a serving size weight of meat, or do you cut that in half and give people like half the size and then super thin it out like they do at fast food restaurants? Well, let's see.
It's so damn expensive. Again, the problem is not growing a bunch of lab meat. It's growing it for cheap so that people will actually buy it. It's not as simple as scaling up your equipment. It has to do with biological limits. For example, humans exist, but you can't have a 10-foot tall human. You can have a really big animal, but you can't have a really big animal with a really fast metabolic rate. You can grow cells outside of an animal in a large bioreactor, but you can't do it efficiently. If you want to grow just the beef we eat cheaply and efficiently, you need the rest of that cow. 2 huge problems limiting efficient cell growth in a bioreactor are getting enough oxygen and nutrients to the cells, and transporting CO2 and waste products away from the cells. First, mammals' complex vascular system is responsible for delivering oxygen and nutrients to all of their cells. It's arranged in an intricate fractal pattern such that all 100 trillion cells are within a mere 500 microns of a small capillary. With lab meat, the cells are just dumped in a liquid that has the nutrients they need, and the mixture is just stirred around to help expose all the cells to those nutrients. Oxygen is delivered to the cells by blowing bubbles into the tank. This nutrient liquid they use in bioreactors is only able to carry an amount of oxygen that is 45 times less than what real blood can carry. By the way, this nutrient liquid is currently so expensive and resource intensive that Dr. Derek Reisner's analysis suggests that lab meat may have a much higher.
How much is the way you currently...
Okay, so I'm going to say so far with the lab meat, I mean, they sound smart. They sound really intelligent, don't they? Speaking to you about common sense and fake meat, that, you know, they're like, hey, if we do this fake thing, it's going to cost way more. So, like, how do we make it cheaper? Because we're competing with the creator when it comes to the most fundamental thing that is needed for human existence, but we have to figure out how to beat that. Okay, so like we need to think about how we can make this cost efficient, but at the same time convince people that it's better, because the problem that we have with the food right now is because the problem that we have with the current food now is that it's not climate change. That's it. That's the problem that we have with food right now. Climate change. You know, winter, spring, summer, and fall. Climate change. Yes. So we have to figure out how to make lab meat because the current food that we have is causing climate change. There, yeah. So the climate's changing. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so yeah. All right. Now we understand where we're at. All right, let's continue, because now we know that the climate is changing because of the natural food that we have. So we're going to figure out a way to put it in a lab, make it cheaper. But if we can't make it cheaper, we'll just mark it up and screw you over anyway.
Environmental impact than normal meat.
It's not good for the environment, which I don't think it is. It's not economically viable, which my own research is like, I don't know how you guys are going to make this economically viable.
The pharmaceutical industry has been using tons and tons of bioreactors to make all sorts of products for decades now.
I know how they're going to make it economically viable. You want to hear my explanation? Check this out. What they're going to do is they're going to make it economically viable by doing this one thing. They're going to say to you,
FYM, fuck y'all motherfuckers, you know?
And now lab meat is economically viable. There you go.
Globally, about 23% of all drugs are made in bioreactors. If we're going to start using bioreactors for meat, we are going to need a ton of them. Pretend this represents the global meat demand. This is half of 1%. That is how much lab meat we would get if we had 11 to 22 times the entire pharmaceutical industry's current stainless steel bioreactor capacity just for growing lab meat.
How many reactors you would need if you were to see a really significant replacement of current meat consumption? That's one hell of a lot of steel.
Take the type of steel that you would need to make these tanks. You got to mine all that. You got to get it out of the ground. You have to process it. Where do these tanks come from?
As part of normal cell metabolism, CO2 and waste products like ammonia and lactate are produced by the cells. It's almost like the cells are sitting in their own urine. When too much of these things build up in the tank, the cells don't do too well, and it reduces the rate that the cells grow. At some point, the cell growth will slow to a halt, and your cells will die from bathing in all that urine. So before that happens, you need to harvest your cells and start a new batch. David Humbert explains in his 2021 paper that biological limits like this are more often the issue than physical limits like tank size. Meaning you could have a 250,000 liter tank, but it would be completely worthless if your cells stopped growing at only 20,000 liters because of too much CO2 or ammonia building up. In the case of a cow, its bloodstream would simply transfer the CO2 away from the cells to the lungs to be breathed out, and ammonia and lactate would be transported to the liver to get rid of it. With bioreactors, there is a process called perfusion, which can clear out some of the CO2 and ammonia, which will improve the cell growth. But that equipment is way too expensive to use for making millions of pounds of lab meat. Humbird calculates that even though you are growing the cells more efficiently, it would cost even more, driving up the cost.
Now, this is probably going to sound counter, but in this case, when it comes to food, going against nature, in this circumstance, in this situation, does efficient actually mean better? You just kind of have to ask, does efficient mean better? I'm just saying, I'm just wondering, if it's more efficient, is it better? In this case, only in this situation. I'm just curious.
Cost of lab meat an extra $6 per pound. This is just one of the many problems that need to be solved to make lab meat cheap enough for the average person to buy.
You know, the papers that people like the Good Food Institute have put out, they actually have stated the cost has to come down over 1,000-fold. When I was in...
Are you overpaying your property taxes?
Over 1,000-fold the cost has to come down. Now, I don't think they're going to bring the cost down. I think what they're going to end up doing is just pricing you out of food. I mean, that's what I think they're going to do. They're just going to price you out of food, or they're going to say they did it, but then actually give you like some really crap food. And if you take their word for it, you just know your health is going to be deteriorating. That's what I think. I don't think they're going to tell the truth in the end. But if they do tell the truth in the end, just know that, how do I say it? Just know...
Prepare to meet so doom.
Just prepare to meet your doom, because that's gonna be the end result. It's gonna be lights out at some point, because you ain't finna be getting nutrition in your body at all. But let's continue. Just remember, living conditions are already expensive, and if they can give you crap food, then you know you can't think straight. Crappy food makes it to where you can't think straight. Makes it hard for you to think, not focus. You always wonder what's wrong. You know, I mean, food plays a huge role in everything. If you ever sat down and focused on your diet, you'll realize how much of a difference food makes. But, you know, to keep you performing at a very low optimal level, give you some lab-grown meat that doesn't really change too much of the difference, or might make you feel a little bit better than what you were getting already, but you're not knowing the difference because you never took care of yourself to begin with. But let's continue.
Discovery in a large pharmaceutical company. If I went forward and said, here's our product and it's 1,000-fold away, that's a get out. Get out of the room. I mean, come back when you've got something real.
But is lab meat even meat?
It is 100% meat.
Because it will taste like animal meat, because that's exactly what it is.
The result is actual animal flesh.
First of all, what usually comes out of these bioreactors is called cell slurry.
Slurry of cells, right? That's what's coming out of a bioreactor. It's not the most appetizing thing.
I call our product Little Lisa's patented animal slurry. A spoonful of slurry will cure what ails ya.
Most future lab meat products will be blended with other non-meat ingredients.
Most appetite.
All right, here we go. So check this out. All right, this is always my thing right here. Here we go. Watch this.
Slurry of cells, right? That's what's coming.
All right, so here we go. This is food, right? This is food. This is what they call food. Look at what they got on. Look at the gloves they wear to handle the food. Check out these gloves.
Coming out of a bioreactor, it's not the most.
Look at that. Look at this. Look at these gloves they got on to handle the food. Look at this. This food's so good, they got to put gloves on to handle it. Now, I get it. You don't want like dirty hands all over your food. I get it. But yeah, this is the food. They got on lab gloves. Can you imagine how many chemicals run through them gloves? That's what they should do. When they're done with a shift or when they're done with gloves, grab those gloves and like test it for how much chemicals is on those gloves. I bet you we'll get a real answer then.
Most appetizing thing.
I call our product Little Lisa's patented animal slurry. A spoonful of slurry will cure what ails ya.
Most future lab meat products will be blended with other non-meat ingredients and formed into homogenized things like burger patties, nuggets, sausages, meatballs, and hot dogs.
We're not going to come out with a steak, we're going to come out with a hamburger. So it's a structured stuff.
Real meat is composed of various types of cells. It has its familiar texture thanks to both muscle fibers and fat cells, as well as blood vessels, tendons, connective tissues, and so on. But bioreactors typically can only cultivate one type of cell at a time, meaning an entirely different process will be needed to assemble various cells and additives together into a texture that resembles something like a steak or pork chop. So the price is even more important, because while someone might pay top dollar for a T-bone steak, they're not going to pay $20 a pound for mashy ground beef. Several of the compounds that contribute to the flavor and nutritional profile of meat arrive there thanks to processes going on elsewhere in the animal's body. These things don't just appear in the cells. So to match real meat, various nutrients and compounds will need to be added one by one at some point in the process of making lab meat.
In the end, when I've got a cell paste, I don't have any structure. I actually need some fibrous material, so I'll blend in some plant material. I think in the end, cell-based meat will be the new plant-based category, because I'm going to guess that there's probably going to be more plant-based material in those products than there is cell-based.
Too much, and I was like, are you serious?
I just can't believe that they're having this conversation about lab-grown meat. But nonetheless, it's interesting to see, you know, we got all these scientific datas and all these smart, educated people that's coming out of school and colleges just to try to give you an understanding that, you know, is lab meat really meat? It's like, well, it's called lab meat for a reason, because it's made in a lab, so therefore it's not real meat, you know. And you're trying to convince people through science that they can create meat that's better than the meat that's put here by nature. So they're fighting against the creator with what goes good in your body. But however, the way they make you take it is if you're poor and you can't afford, so they're just gonna be like, look, we gonna hoard that God-given stuff to us richies. For you brokies, you eat this lab crap that we gotta put on gloves for whenever we put it in a beaker, and then, you know, do some wafting through it to make sure the smell isn't spoiled, you know what I mean? And then we're gonna hand it over to you and let you eat that crap. The only problem is we're probably gonna rip you off when it comes to the price, but hey, we made sure that it's efficient and really good for you to eat. So there's that. Yeah, and no steak, by the way. We're just gonna give you ground beef and you know, hot dogs, because, you know, hot dogs were unhealthy, but we're gonna make them healthier. So keep that in mind. Hot dogs, you hear the theory on how unhealthy hot dogs were, but now when we put our lab grown meat in these hot dogs, it's gonna be super healthy, because we care about you and we want you to eat the best of the best, because
to actually like it as much as real meat. The lab meat industry has a history of making promises they can't keep. In 2021, Mother Jones published an illustration of the many predictions made by research institutions and lab meat companies about when lab meat would be available. That ended up being wrong.
Bro, look at that. 15 years of claims about when they've been doing this for a super long time, bro. Look, this is ridiculous. They finna roll this out. I don't know if it's gonna be in a year, 5 years, 10 years. They finna roll this out. They've been doing this for a long time, bro. Yeah. Yeah, this is heavy on their hearts. They finna, look at this: red meat, other seafood, pet food, not specified, chicken, poultry and red meat. Research institutes, company, they've been doing this for a good while. What's this, 04 all the way to 33, the year 2033? Yeah, they finna roll this out. I think we'll see this in when we get to the 2030s. I think we'll start seeing lab grown meat. I think so.
About when lab meat would be available. That ended up being wrong.
As you're building a business, don't be naive about the power of storytelling. You need them to give you money when all you have is a PowerPoint deck.
This is Josh Hoffman. He was the CEO of the synthetic biology company Zymergen. His skill of painting a vision for the future earned Zymergen $1 billion of venture capital.
Zymergen is rewriting the potential of biology. Our work has the potential to revolutionize chemicals and materials, agriculture, human health. So we really think this has the potential to change the entire economy.
He had an optimistic vision of reducing our reliance on petrochemicals by producing everyday products like anything from optic film to mosquito repellent in bioreactors. These bioreactors would be filled with microbes, specially engineered to produce specific compounds we regularly rely on petrochemicals for. But the challenge was the same as lab meats. How would they ever do this at scale for a reasonable price? Zymergen went public in April 2021. But just 4 months later, they announced that they would bring in $0 in product revenue for 2021 and 2022. CEO Josh Hoffman ended up leaving Zymergen in August of 2021. And by July of 2022, 94% of the company's stock value had vanished since going public. A former employee said that Josh Hoffman misled people with exaggerated financial figures and made overly optimistic projections about the company's capabilities. One of the big players in the lab meat space, Eat Just, has raised over
Okay, so I had to spring a leak, but I was listening at the same time. So what they just said right here.
Exaggerated financial figures. 2, 94% of the company's stock value had vanished since going public. A former employee said that Josh Hoffman misled people with exaggerated financial figures and made overly optimistic projections about the company's capabilities.
All right, so we got that right there. So Josh Hoffman, according to them, he exaggerated financial figures and made overly optimistic projections about the company's capabilities. Now, what did we just learn? What did we just learn about Mr. Hoffman? I'll show you. I want to see, we're at 1356. I'll show you. Let me show you. Check him out, okay? Check him out.
You money when all a business don't
lab meat would be available. That ended up being wrong.
All right, so here we go. I got it right here. So what we just saw was they said that he made exaggerated, figures about whatever said production. But hear him out. Hear his words. Dude ain't lying. Listen what he say.
As you're building a business, don't be naive about the power of storytelling. You need them to give you money when all you have is a PowerPoint deck.
Don't be naive about the power of storytelling. You need them to give you money when all you got is a PowerPoint deck.
He didn't say that. Tell me he didn't just say that.
Bro just told you he's finna lie to you to get money out of you to believe in whatever it is he's trying to sell you. And then when it don't work out, you want to turn around and say this right here. You want to say, according to a former senior level employee, Hoffman used exaggerated financial figures and made overly optimistic projections about the company's capability. Well, he did just say right here. He made it very clear right here what his agenda was.
Don't be naive about the power of storytelling. You need them to give you money when all you have is a PowerPoint deck.
All right, so Buddy is a salesman at the end of the day, and he's not lying about what he's doing. What's foolish is you not believing him when he tells you. That's the problem. So Buddy said, look, I got to make you believe this BS, so I'm finna hit you with a great story. I'm going to give you a story that you believe. I'm pull and tug on your little emotions and your little fee-fees, and then when I do that, you're going to, throw me money. I'm going to take the money. I know how this is going to end, but I am going to line my pockets up before I make an exit, and I'm probably not going to face any backlash as far as like lawsuits or being sued or going to jail. Yeah, I might face scrutiny. Yeah, I might talk crap and hate me, but at the end of the day, I'm laughing all the way to the bank.
One of the big players in the lab meat space, Eat Just, has raised over $800 million in venture capital.
Has recently faced a slew of negative coverage, accusing it of classic Silicon Valley hubris and overreach.
Eat Just came under scrutiny in 2016 when they sent many of their workers into grocery stores to buy out tons of their vegan mayonnaise product.
Hundreds of jars of its own products.
Here you go, folks.
Vegan mayonnaise? Like mayonnaise wasn't already bad enough. You want to make it vegan? How do you make mayonnaise? What in mayonnaise is what in mayonnaise when you make it non-vegan is like against animals? Like mayonnaise is a bunch of grease. And then now you want to make a healthy version of mayonnaise? Like what the hell is wrong with people?
Here's the extra mayonnaise you ordered.
A former scientist at the company said that this type of behavior was common.
And the company's entire board stepped down last month with little explanation.
just because you can do something in the lab does not at all mean you can do something at commercial scale.
But in 2022, he just made the...
That's not what Josh Hoffman said. Josh Hoffman said, if I can give you the power of storytelling, I'll make sure you're giving me money when all I got is a PowerPoint.
Impressive announcement that they will be building 10 never-before-seen 250,000 liter bioreactors.
People say, oh, we're going to grow 250,000 litres. I don't think that's feasible. I don't think it's feasible from a biological point of view.
He just claims that 250,000 liter bioreactors will be able to produce 30 million pounds of meat a year by 2030. These big numbers may wow investors and earn them more investment, but even if everything goes perfectly to plan, their magic facility would replace a mere 0.03% of the United States conventional meat production. Even Yakov Nachmias, CEO of the lab meat company Believer Meats, says that a 250,000 liter bioreactor is just a fantasy.
And there was the talk about, a 250,000 liter bioreactors are and be dripping garbage.
Nachmias explains that while a bigger bioreactor would help scale the production, it makes the cell growing process less efficient.
The bioreactor is small for pound.
We don't really identify mental.
Men's mental health. Okay, and we got a mental health ad up there. I'm pretty sure this lab meat is going to help reduce mental health, by the way. Lab meat is going to be one of those things that's going to reduce the mental health of people, but I digress. Let's continue with our video. I'm over here multitasking, but we're staying focused. You have to understand what you should be learning out of this is, number one, is taking some geniuses to figure out that you shouldn't be going against the creator that decided to put food on the earth, and now they're going to make it better than the creator ever did, and then they're trying to figure out how they can make it cheaper and better, and they can't seem to figure it out, and then they're trying to figure out how we can get money to fund this, but at the end of the day, they just taking their money and they just leaving and just dipping out on you and leaving you looking like a fool when the plan didn't work out, and now you got to write a paper to complain about what they did when they told you what they were going to do in the first place.
Not going to be efficient. The problem is that the bigger the bioreactor is, the more non-homogeneous it becomes. The process becomes less efficient.
When bioreactors and food are in the same sentence, that should be a red flag. Common sense.
Been a contamination. Something got into the lab.
Another huge difficulty with massive lab meat plants is that they need to be exceedingly clean. A bioreactor doesn't have an immune system to protect the fragile animal cells, so if the tiniest bit of bacteria, virus, or other contaminant on a worker's glove or clothing gets into these massive bioreactors, the entire batch of cell slurry would be ruined. This is a well-known $1 million problem with bioreactors in the pharmaceutical industry.
He was telling us about the $1 million club. They lost a batch because of contamination. So there's dudes walking around San Francisco that, because they contaminated a tank, joined the $1 million club. He said you only get to join it once. You do it again, you're gone.
Some people have used the misleading analogy that a lab meat facility will basically be like a beer brewery.
Kind of like brewing beer or growing yogurt.
It's not that dissimilar from how you would culture food or how you would brew beer.
It's your friendly neighborhood meat brewery.
Do you know how to make beer? So you'll know how to make cultured meat.
That is not the same. That drives me nuts. We know that this isn't like brewing beer.
Beer can...
I mean, just, tell me you're trying to kill me without telling me that you're trying to kill me. That's all I'm saying.
He didn't say that. Tell me he didn't just say that.
If you can brew beer, you can brew meat. Damn.
Be made in your backyard while you're smoking a cigarette and wearing the same sweaty clothes you had been wearing at the gym. An extra clean lab meat facility handling the same volume as a beer brewery could be well over 6 times the price, handling the...
Hey, if the person that looked like this, that's a... if you went to a restaurant and the chef was in the back wearing this outfit to cook your food, how would you feel? Ask yourself that question. The chef come in. I mean, at least he got a hair rag on, right? You don't want to get his hair in your food, but like, what if he came in and he was wearing this to cook your food? And it's like 100 degrees outside. Like, what would you think? Like, dang, bro, is it cold by the oven? The stove must be cold back there.
The same volume as a beer brewery could be well over 6 times the price due to all the measures necessary to keep it clean, like for example, level 6 and level 8 clean rooms that constantly purify the air.
I don't think it's a backyard operation. This is a sophisticated technology. The people who operate these facilities get paid very, very well, and they're very well qualified, because you cannot afford to get your cells contaminated.
Back in 2017, when Eat Just was selling vegan mayo products, all of their
Can't afford to get yourself contaminated. Go figure.
products were pulled off of the retailer Target's shelves after allegations of food safety problems like listeria and salmonella contamination at the manufacturing facility. So let's hope that they're able to keep their lab meat facilities cleaner, or they could be wasting millions of dollars. When talking to Joe Fassler, Dr. David Humbert summed up the feasibility of scaling lab-grown meat as a big wall of no. He even said that it was a fractal no, that the big no is comprised of many smaller no's.
One of the great challenges in this world.
Oh man, I wonder what Neil deGrasse Tyson thinks about lab meat. We should reach out and ask him. I'm pretty sure a man of science himself will look at you and be like, "How stupid are you?" I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Neil deGrasse Tyson, even a man of science, I'm pretty sure he'll look at you and be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" But you know, I have to ask him that question myself when I see him.
Reisner has written 2 papers that point out the extreme cost and resource intensity of preparing that nutrient liquid, the growth medium for the cells. He agrees with Humbert's assessment that lab meat is a big wall of no.
Yeah, I would say with the big wall, no, I'm on that boat for sure.
However, in late 2022, Yakov Nachmias, founder of Believe.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. Don't he look like he eat lab meat? Right? He look like he eat lab meat. I ain't gonna say where I think his meat came from, but he looked like he eat lab meat already.
Meats announced that his team's new work growing cells in the lab had conclusively shattered Humbert's so-called big wall of no. This is pretty big. After I read about this, I thought I might have to just rewrite this entire video. Believer Meat's approach is to increase the number of cells in the bioreactor by getting rid of those toxic waste products like ammonia and lactate that we talked about earlier. More cells in the bioreactor means more meat at a lower cost. In their experiment, they used a perfusion device. It's kind of like an artificial liver that pumps fluid in and out of the bioreactor and clears out the toxins. They claim that their protocol using this perfusion device allowed them to get a number of cells per liter that is way higher than what Humbert said would be possible. That sounds...
If I wanted to be a scientist and I went to school to become a scientist, I would be highly pissed if this was the people I have to go up against arguing about lab meat. I'd be pissed off that I went to school to become a scientist, and these are the fools I got to deal with, not him. He's just making a video. I get what he's doing. I'd be pissed if I had to deal with these people coming out of school with a degree, work at a laboratory, and I'm over here dealing with people trying to justify lab meat.
Sounds really exciting at first, but these results were done in a mere 2-liter bioreactor. If we're talking about what can be done at very small scale in the lab, this isn't actually new at all. Another team already achieved similar cell growth results way back in 2013, and it was with less resource-intensive equipment. So an experiment in a 2-liter tank doesn't really tell you much. To mass-produce lab meat at commercial scale, we need bioreactors that handle thousands of liters.
Like, is it reasonable at all to say a 2-liter experiment is going to scale to a 1,000-liter or 10,000-liter bioreactor?
Look, I think with this sort of technology, no. I think you've got to be very careful about claims you make on scaling.
Derek Risner pointed out that the pharmaceutical industry will often attempt to scale in multiples of 4. So if you achieve 2 liters in the lab, the next step is to run an experiment at 8 liters. You don't just jump from 2 liters in the lab to commercial scale of 1,000 liters. And when it comes to cost, Dr. Nachmias himself acknowledges that using this type of perfusion technology is so expensive that it's not appropriate for commercial scale production of lab meat.
One of the things that they said in the Food Navigator article was like, this conclusively shatters the limits set forth by Humbert.
To say that it's shattered, I think that is a pretty big overstep. And I think it's the sort of things we're seeing from a lot of companies because they're still capital raising. So you always have to be positive.
The way the general media reports on cultured meat is through the lens of investment. This company just raised $40 million. This company just raised $140 million. And some of the off-the-record conversations I've had with people within the industry is they're like, listen, investors do not do their due diligence. Some of
And the nominees for Best Actress in a Groovy Nightclub Drama, Miss Wayman Harrington.
them like couldn't pass a biology class.
Last year, Dr. Jeffrey Lee Funk published an article titled "Fake It Till You Make It" is an old trick Silicon Valley startups use to get money. He explains a cycle of how startups are often overly optimistic to the point of misleading investors into investing. But even then, people see that investment as evidence that the company is likely to succeed, which drives more investment. Bruce Friedrich is the CEO and founder of the earlier mentioned Good Food Institute. He's featured in Ezra Klein's article saying public investment in lab-grown meat is urgently needed. Joe Fassler wrote in his article that when Friedrich was skeptically questioned by Ricardo San Martin, who has a PhD in biotechnology, Friedrich snapped back saying that the proof that people have invested is proof that scaling lab meat is practical. There is a surprising number of overfunded House of Cards.
I can't take this anymore. These fools is running game on you. I can't take anymore. They're driving me crazy. Give them a round of applause for that video. Oh, Jesus. I just can't take any more of this. These people are arguing about lab meat and if it's good for you or not. Common sense would tell you that you don't want to eat lab meat. Now I have a headache. Oh, wow. All right. People, don't eat lab meat. Lab meat is not good for you. It's not healthy. It's not going to do you any good. It's not going to be nutritious for your body. I don't care how much science they do, how many facts they bring to the table. I don't care how much of expensive equipment that they use. I don't care what it is that they do. I don't care. Excuse me. I don't care if they get a biologist, a chemist, and a scientist together to run about a bajillion tests and come to the conclusion that lab meat is better than actual real meat. They're lying. Don't believe it. And if they tell you that they're telling the truth, I want you to look them in the face and say, look here, bruh.
FYM. Fuck y'all motherfuckers, you know?
Just tell them that from the bottom of your heart. Just tell them. Like, look, I hear what you're saying, but from me to you.
FYM. Fuck y'all motherfuckers, you know?
You can't convince me that lab meat is better than natural meat. Jesus, oh my goodness. Bruh. Just tell me you hate God without telling me you hate God. Bruh. That's really what this is. They're like, you know what? You know that guy they wrote about, what was his name? Was he in the Torah? Was he in the Bible? Was he in the Quran? He was one of, whoever he was, the guy that created, he screwed up on that food thing. We're gonna redo it. I just don't feel his food is correct. It's like, bruh. Like, just stop it. Just stop it. Jesus, just poison people and get it over with. Don't just sit here and try to, hey, the food that we make is better. It's like, bro, just poison me. I would respect you more if you just was upfront and blunt about it as opposed to try to finagle and insult my intelligence. Like, I'm looking at you like, shut up, bitch. I ain't stupid. You know what I mean? Whew, that was a lot. That was a lot. That one was a lot. That one, I don't see how you can. I'm surprised he even made that video as long as he did. That should have been a 10-minute video, but he made that one a little bit too long. Well, I like his videos, but that one, he just made that one too long about a quick answer that should have been concluded really, really early in the video. But shout out to him. Shout out to that guy. Round of applause one more time. Whew. Jesus. With that being said, you know, sometimes whenever people talk, you know, people probably think that we sound stupid when they hear us talking like this. Could you imagine what foreigners think? Imagine what foreign people think, except for Chinese people, because Chinese people be doing some wicked stuff to their food. So I'm gonna put the Chinese people on par with the lab meat people. y'all wicked when it comes to y'all food, boy. Y'all in that lab meat category too. Chinese people, y'all in that lab meat category. But whenever they hear us talking about this stuff, I be wondering what we sound like to them. And I think I found a clip. I think when we talk, I found a clip of what we sound like to other people. Let me show you what we sound like to other people when we talk. Here, whenever they hear us talking about stuff that just clearly don't make sense or go against nature, and when I say we, I'm talking about them, this is what I think we sound like to them. Listen to what we sound like.
Pakistan Patan. Today we have to the border in Afghanistan. We near have to the Afghani OCC border area. We have to the rocket launcher firing after the people 35 1 to the blasting. Pakistan Patan. Today we have to the border in Afghanistan. We near have to the Afghani OCC border area. We have to the rocket launcher firing after the people 35 1 to the blasting.
If you ever wonder what an English language sounds like to a foreigner, there it is right there. Yeah. That's what English sounds like to a foreigner, I'm pretty sure. When they hear an American talking, I'm pretty sure that's exactly how they hear it. When they hear an American person talking, not just English, but I'm gonna say American. That's what they hear. When they hear an American talking, that's what it sounds like to them. This is what I'm gonna have to clip this. This is what it sounds like.
Pakistan Patan. Today we have to the border in Afghanistan. We near have to the Afghani OCC border area. We have to the rocket launcher firing after the people 35 1 to the block.
Hey, he nailed it. He nailed it. Shout out to him. That was crazy. Oh my goodness, that was a good one. I'm gonna keep that one up there because I gotta clip that for later on. That was fantastic. That was really good. Shout out to him. Oh wait, let me go ahead and get this up off the screen. There we go. Ooh, that was close. You almost heard some stuff you wasn't supposed to hear. But yeah, man, that's what we probably sound like to other people when they hear us talking, Americans talking. We sound just like that. I mean, they just be looking at us, kiki, cackling, and laughing, and we just think like it's English. You don't understand what we're saying, and clearly not. Clearly not. I didn't understand a word he said, but it sounded like I could for a second until I realized he was just speaking gibberish. Oh boy. I swear, when they hear us talk about stuff like that, they be like, are y'all really trying to make lab meat? Like, they be looking at us like, like, all right, yeah. And at some point, that's what needs to happen. Somebody needs to go ahead and get smacked across the face. That would be probably the best thing to do. Because just, oh my goodness, lab-grown meat and trying to convince people, and all they doing is just doing a money grab. I mean, how can you not see it? It's as clear as day. Jeff Hoffman, what's his name? Josh Huffman clearly said, all you need is a good story. You know what I mean? Don't be naive to use your storytelling skills, because all you got is a PowerPoint. They got money. We finna snatch that money and get in their fee-fees with this story and get some money from them. So there's that. But anyhow, there's a fitness portion of the show. Shout out to what I've learned. That was a good segment. I enjoyed that. So yeah, be careful out there. Don't let nobody convince you eating lab meat. But I think what's going to happen is they're going to feed poor people lab meat, and rich people are going to be able to have the diet that they want. So you got to find a way to get rich, and that's one of the main premises of this show is to get rich, to escape the crap they finna do to you. Speaking of getting rich, we're going to look into see what is going on with America's housing and also the global crisis that is coming across the world, the nation, and everything else. It's sweeping across everything. So first, we're going to start off with a video that I found, and we're going to look at a company called BlackRock. Yes, BlackRock. We're going to come in and see exactly what it is that they're doing and if they have our best interests at heart. But as you probably know, probably a hard no. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at it. But before we do, let's go ahead and get this banner put up on the screen and bring our sexy lady in here real quick first.
Welcome to the economy segment of the show. Enjoy.
Boy, she is nice. I did a good job creating her. Shout out to me. Sheesh. Whew. See that? She's got that like brown copper colored skin with a tan and like not a blemish on her face. Whatever. Hey, Megan Fox and Subservient, move over. Get out the way. Although they did her right too. But we're gonna go ahead and look at this video of the economy portion of the show. Get that banner up, and we're gonna see exactly what's going on with the housing and see if we can figure out the trickle down as to see how everything is gonna be going moving forth in the future, because it already sucks now. And how is it that are they actually going to bring down housing prices? Are they going to stay up? Or what is going on? How is this going to pan out? And what should you do with this situation? Should you wait for a crash? Or should you assume that things are going to keep going up? Do you hope things get better? Or do you think things are just going to keep getting worse? So that's what we're going to try to find out. So we got to dissect this and see what's going on. I got a few videos that we're going to go over because I got time today. And we're going to see... And we're going to see today exactly how this situation is going to pan out and what you should be doing moving forward. Because right now, getting a home loan is super hellified expensive, as everybody knows. So we got to see exactly how this situation is going to pan out and how you should navigate moving forward, because it ain't no easy task. Not at all. We don't live in the boomer days and the Gen X days where they had it made to get a home easily. Oh, no. Those days are gone. Ever since the pandemic kicked off, everything has skyrocketed exponentially in a very, very, very fast and short amount of time. So hopefully that people have been making moves and pivoting to try to make something happen. And right now, it's rough. Let me tell you, boy, it's rough. But anyway, I digress. Let me go ahead and pull this video up on the screen. Let me change that banner off real quick, and let's get to the economy segment of the show. We're going to see exactly what happened. It says Blackstone. Did I say BlackRock earlier? I meant Blackstone. Blackstone just bought half of America and no one noticed. Let's see how this pans out. Here we go.
Unrealistic for the majority of people. Like, are you telling single family home is completely unrealistic for the majority of people? Like, are you telling me that people are just going to be able to pay the tremendous upfront amount of money to buy a property and to then be stuck with it for the rest of their lives, all while mostly paying not even for the home, but for the interest on their loan, as well as property taxes, and let me not even get started on maintenance? But you know what is not unrealistic to be bought, at least for a certain group of people, or let's say companies? Your future. In 2025, your American dream is being bought, packaged, traded, and owned by a company most Americans have never even heard of, Blackstone. A name that sounds like something from a medieval castle. But this isn't fantasy. This is the new reality of American housing. And while you were working, saving, dreaming of that perfect home, Blackstone was buying entire neighborhoods, entire cities, entire futures. They're not just buying houses, they're buying America itself. And nobody's talking about it. And now let me help you with a few tips so you don't embarrass yourself in some future conversations with people and just some common misconceptions. Blackstone is the main company buying up American real estate and not...
I've recently come to learn that a lot of founders...
All right, so we're seeing right here that Blackstone is buying neighborhoods up. They're not playing around out here, buddy boys. So we got to see how serious the situation is, because if they're over here buying all sorts of stuff, what are they doing with it? So we're going to have to look in and see exactly what's going on. We got some investigation to do, and don't you worry, because on the flip side over here, I'm on the side, I'm trying to figure out who Blackstone. Is it Blackstone? Yes, it's Blackstone. We're trying to figure out who Blackstone is, because see on the screen right here, you have BlackRock, which everybody knows and knew who BlackRock was, but now we don't want to get them confused with Blackstone. So we got to make sure that we keep our company's names corrected, and let's figure out what's going on. I'm going to dive in a little deeper on the side while he's talking and figure out who, what, when, where, why, and how this company comes from, while he explains to us what they do. So let's continue. Oh, wait.
Confuse the two, or at a dinner table, if you're sitting with someone who knows a thing or two, you might...
Oh, hold on. He's speaking a whole lot. Let's back up a little bit. Here we go.
Entire cities, entire futures. They're not just buying houses, they're buying America itself. and nobody's talking about it. And now let me help you with a few tips so you don't embarrass yourself in some future conversations with people and just some common misconceptions. Blackstone is the main company buying up American real estate and not... Don't confuse the two, or at a dinner table, if you're sitting with someone who knows a thing or two, you might make a fool of yourself. But I'm here to help you, so sit back and get ready to understand how and when BlackRock bought up half of America, and how no one even noticed, and how this will affect your life if you don't pay attention. I find it hilarious how no one really covers this topic, and most people would rather talk about the increase of the price of eggs or bread when one of the biggest expenses of your lifetime is at serious risk. Welcome to House Crisis, and I am here to save your with some straight information. Let's get into it. Number 10, the Phoenix phenomenon. Phoenix, Arizona, the Valley of the Sun, where retirees once flocked for golden years and young families sought affordable starts. But in 2025, something else is happening in these desert suburbs. Drive through Maryvale, cruise down Ahwatukee. What do you see? Rows of identical houses, pristine lawns, American flags waving. Looks normal, right? Wrong. Behind those doors, there's no family dinner table, no kids' height marks on the doorframe, no mortgage being slowly paid off by proud homeowners. These houses have corporate landlords now, and the biggest one? Blackstone's Invitation Homes, 32,000 single-family homes, just in Phoenix Metro. That's not a neighborhood, that's an empire.
All right, speaking of empire, ladies and gentlemen, I got something to show you. All right, so I did a little research on the side, and let me show you what my findings have shown me. Okay, so here we go. So we're just gonna, this is gonna be a very simple research test. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this bad boy here up on, let me do this. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna pull this up on the screen for you, and we're gonna look at something really quickly. It's not gonna take us much time at all. We're gonna just look and see who exactly Blackstone is. Let me make sure I got this pulled up right. All right, here we go. I want to make sure you can see this, okay? All right, so we're gonna do this right here. Here we go. All right, you ready? Ready for a quick education and learning? I'm going to teach you guys something. Are y'all ready? All right. Well, I'm not going to teach you anything. We're just going to look at something together. I'm not going to teach you. I'm just going to read to you, okay? And then you just take it as you may see it. So here we go right here. Let me fix this right here. So I'm going to read, and we're going to read about who Blackstone is, all right? So here we go. Let me zoom that in for you a little bit. All righty, here we go. We're about to read to you. Here we go. Blackstone is an American alternative investment management company based in New York City. New York City? It was founded in 1985 as a mergers and acquisitions firm by Peter Peterson. What a name. Peter Peterson. Wow. And Stephen Schwarzman. All right. Okay. Who had previously worked together at Lehman Brothers. Blackstone's private equity business has been one of the largest investors in leverages buyouts in the last 3 decades. So they've been around for a minute. While its real estate business has actively acquired commercial real estate across the globe, Blackstone is also active in credit, infrastructure, hedge funds, secondaries, growth equity, and insurance solutions. As of May 2024, Blackstone has more than $1 trillion in total assets under management, making it the world's largest alternative investment firm. All right, so before I go any further, first of all, round of applause to Blackstone. And of course, just to do a little quick diving, which won't take long at all, just a little click of the finger right here. So first things first, it was founded in 1985 as a mergers and acquisitions firm by who? Peter Peterson. So let's take a look, right? We got Peter Peterson. Peter George Peterson was, past tense, an American investment banker who served as the United States Secretary of Commerce from 72 to 73 during the administration of Richard Nixon, president that is. Peterson was also chairman and CEO of Bell & Howell from 1963 to 1971. From 73 to 1984, he was. Now let's go ahead and click on Mr. Peterson right here. Now what we're going to see here is we have a beginning date and we have an end date right here. Where is it at? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go? Here we go, right here. Here. Let me zoom in on you right there. So right here is we have this right here. We have Peter George Peterson, born June 5th, 1926, expired in March 20th, 2018. So therefore, what we have here is we have an expired founder of a company. Okay, so that means one of them's gone. Okay, so God rest his soul, Peter's not here anymore. So it said back here that Blackstone was founded by, hold on, slide on down. Hold on, slow down. It said the firm was founded in 1985 by Peter, which we just found out is unfortunately expired, and Stefan Schwarzman. Okay, well, let's see who this guy is. All right, we're going to slide on in right here. All right, so Stefan Allen Schwarzman, if I said that right, was born February 14, 1947. Hey, February, I see you, baby. All right, so we don't have an expired date. That's good news. We don't have an expired date. So therefore, one of them is still with us. So we have one CEO of Blackstone Group. He is the chairman and the CEO. He's the head honcho right here. Hey. Let's give a round of applause to the head honcho in charge. Shout out to you, buddy. Head honcho in charge. What is it? He's the head honcho, the chairman and CEO of Blackstone Group, a global private equity firm he established in 1985 with good old Peter Peterson, God rest his soul. Schwarzman was chairman of President Donald Trump's Strategics and Policy Forum. Interesting. And according to Forbes, Schwarzman has a net worth of $43 billion as of May 2025. All right, now we're going to scroll down here, and I'm not going to do any reading at this point, but if you can pause and look at this right here, I think you can come to a conclusion all on your own about, what we're looking at right there, okay? All righty. So if you did some reading, you would have saw what I saw.
He didn't say that. Tell me he didn't just say that.
All righty, now let's continue this video. Back to you.
The numbers are staggering. Since 2012, Blackstone has spent over $150 billion on real estate, not millions, billions. While the average American family struggles to save a $20,000 down payment, Blackstone drops that amount every 12 seconds. Every 12 seconds. In Phoenix alone, home prices have exploded 140% since Blackstone started buying. Coincidence? The median home now costs $450,000. For a family making $75,000 a year, that's not just expensive, it's impossible. Jennifer Martinez saved for 15 years. 15 years of double shifts, skipped vacations, coupon cutting. She finally had her down payment, but every house she bid on, gone. Cash offer, above asking, no inspection. Corporate buyer. Number 9, the Southeast Stranglehold, Atlanta, Charlotte, Nashville, Raleigh, the New South, where tech workers flee California prices and families seek better lives. These metros were supposed to be different, affordable, accessible, American. But drive through suburban Atlanta today. Peachtree Corners, Alpharetta, Duluth. Notice anything strange? Every third house has the same property management sign, the same rental application process, the same corporate owner. Blackstone didn't just buy houses here. They bought entire subdivisions, at foreclosure auctions, in bulk purchases, like buying cereal at Costco, except it's the American dream they're stockpiling.
I mean, if you ask me, it seems like Buddy is playing a game of Monopoly and he has a bunch of houses on the board. That's all it looks like to me. It seems like Mr. Schwarzman, I believe, has a bunch of houses out there. That's what it seems like. And he's just winning on this Monopoly game. You get mad at Monopoly and the person keeps winning, you want to quit. Well, unfortunately, in this game Monopoly, you can't quit. You kind of end up being how do I say it? What's the word? Can I find the word? I can't find it. But you just end up unalived. Yeah. Yeah. That's what happens. But yeah, there's that. But we got to continue because there's more. We are getting educated here. We have to understand what's going on. We got to see what we can do about this. We got to figure this out.
8,000 units across the Southeast. That's not investment, that's colonization. The data is terrifying. In zip codes where Blackstone owns more than 3% of homes, rents have increased 47% faster than surrounding areas. Faster, not just increasing, accelerating beyond what local incomes can support. Tampa Bay, they own 6% of all rental homes. 6%, one company, controlling what families pay for shelter. In Charlotte, teachers can't afford to live in the districts where they teach. Nurses commute 2 hours because everything closer is corporate owned, corporate priced. The very people who build communities can't afford to live in them. Mike Thompson, a firefighter, puts it simply, I save homes I'll never afford. Number 8, the warehouse wars. But homes are just the beginning. While you weren't looking, Blackstone became the largest owner of warehouses in America. 1.2 billion square feet. Let that sink in. Billion. With a B, every Amazon package, every Walmart delivery, every online order, there's a good chance it passed through a Blackstone warehouse. They don't just own homes, they own the supply chain. During the pandemic, when e-commerce exploded, Blackstone's warehouse empire printed money. $31 billion in warehouse acquisitions in just 3 years.
Printed money? Wait a minute, hold on. What exactly are you saying there? You can't just say that. What wrong one? You can't say somebody just printed money without like actually them turning on the money machine. You know what I mean? That's a bold claim. That's a super bold claim. But so far, as we see, they're talking about Blackstone, but Blackstone now is held down by one individual as far as the founder goes. So we understand that Blackstone's being ran by one chairman and CEO. So now that we got that going, we have an understanding. And if you hit pause to kind of read what I didn't read, you know.
While small businesses shuttered, Blackstone was buying their distribution centers. The Inland Empire, California, once orchards and open space, now the warehouse capital of America. And Blackstone owns a kingdom there, 300 warehouses, controlling the flow of goods to 40 million Californians. But here's the sinister part. These warehouses don't just store products, they reshape communities. Property taxes skyrocket, air quality plummets, traffic clogs, and the jobs, mostly minimum wage, no benefits, no future. Blackstone profits whether you're coming or going. They own where you live, they own where your stuff is stored. They're the middleman in your entire life. Number 7, the apartment apocalypse. Think apartments are safe from corporate control? Think again. Blackstone owns 300,000 apartment units. 300,000. That's entire cities worth of renters paying into one corporate machine, Los Angeles. They own massive complexes in Koreatown, Hollywood, downtown, working families, young professionals, elderly on fixed incomes, all writing checks to the same Wall Street giant. The playbook is always the same. Buy the building. Renovate with cheap cosmetic upgrades. Jack the rent 30 to 50%. Push out long-term tenants. Rent.
I mean, in a nutshell, it sounds like this.
FYM. Fuck y'all motherfuckers, you know?
Repeat. In New York, Blackstone-owned Stuytown was once affordable housing for the middle class. Teachers, firefighters, nurses. Now, studios start at $3,800. The median NYC salary, $67,000. Do the math. You can't. Maria Rodriguez lived in her Blackstone-owned LA apartment for 12 years, raised 2 kids there, built a community. Then came the notice. Rent increase $800 per month. No negotiation, no mercy. Move or pay. She moved to her car. This isn't just gentrification, it's algorithmic displacement. Blackstone uses artificial intelligence to determine the maximum rent each building can bear. Not what's fair, not what's sustainable. Maximum extraction. Number 6, the hotel hijacking. Your vacation, your business trip, your wedding venue. Guess who owns it? Blackstone is now one of the largest hotel owners on earth. Hilton, Motel 6 extended stay, La Quinta. Brands you know, brands you trust, all feeding the same beast. $40 billion in hotel acquisitions since 2020. $40 billion. While the hospitality industry was dying during COVID, Blackstone was shopping, buying distressed properties for pennies on the dollar. The Cosmopolitan in Vegas, the Waldorf Astoria, iconic properties that define American luxury. now just entries in Blackstone's spreadsheet. But here's what they don't tell you. When private equity owns hotels, service suffers, staff gets cut, wages stagnate, maintenance gets deferred. That romantic getaway you saved for? You're paying 5-star prices for 3-star service because shareholders matter more than your special moment. Even worse, these hotels often get tax breaks meant for small businesses.
All right, well, real quick, let me just help you get a better understanding as to what he's saying, okay? For those of you who don't comprehend what he's saying, let me help you out here. Let me go ahead and slide this up on the screen. I'm going to show you a little statement real quick right here. Let's see. Here we go. Right here. I'm gonna zoom. Can I zoom in anymore? I think I zoomed in as much as I could. Oh, I can zoom in some more. Jesus. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna put. Oh man, this is gonna be good. All right. Let's see. All right. Whoa. Hoo-wee. This is gonna be even better than I thought. Okay, here we go, y'all. Here we go. All right, so we're gonna have another quick teaching lesson. Whatever. All right, here we go. Another teaching lesson that we're gonna have right here. So here we go. So if you're wondering why all this stuff is happening, if you're wondering like, oh, this is so crazy, everything he's saying is like, well, let me just give you a little rundown, okay? All right, so remember we had 2 members of Blackstone, which you learned earlier. One of them is no longer with us, but we do have one left. And we have some quotes by that one we have a quote by one that is currently left. And let's see here. Let's see right here. You're going to read this right here. In June of 2007, Schwartzman described his view on the financial markets with the statement, "I want war, not a series of skirmishments. I always think about what will kill off the other bidder." Where is it? In September 11th, same guy was listed as a member of the International Advisory Board of the Russian Direct Investment Fund. All right. So yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. He's also Republican. He favors lower taxes, lower government spending, and reproductive rights. He raised $100,000 for George Bush's political endeavors. All right. What are reproductive rights? Let's see what this is right here. There are legal rights and freedoms relating to reproduction and reproductive health that vary amongst countries around the world. The WHO defines reproductive rights. Reproductive rights rest on the recognition of basis of right of all. Okay, all right. So yeah, there's that. Just with the statement, "I want war, not a series of skirmishes." He says, "I always think about what will kill off the other bidder." All right, so Buddy ain't playing out here in these streets. You know what I mean? I may have to look through my peephole whenever I go to sleep at night. You know what I mean? Like, Buddy ain't playing out here in these streets. He's like, what? He's like, this is what he said in a nutshell. Let me show you what let me show you what he said in a nutshell. This is what he said. Where's my soundbite right here? He was like, this is what I want right here. He said, "I want this." That's what he want. But I'm just saying, let's continue this video and keep it going.
Blackstone's hotels collected millions in PPP loans during COVID. Money meant for mom and pop motels.
Hey, for those of you who took PPP loans, this is how you do it. Shout out to Mr. Schwartzman for doing the PP loan correctly. You know, all you other idiots lied on freaking federal paperwork, and now you're wondering why they coming to get you and throw you in jail years later. Here you go right here. This is how you do it. Listen to what they said.
Get tax breaks meant for small businesses. Blackstone's hotels collected millions in PPP loans during COVID.
That's how you do it. He collected millions in PPP loans during COVID. He did it right. Hate him or love him, he did it right.
Money meant for mom and pop motels. Going to a company worth $1 trillion as your tax dollars. Subsidizing billionaires. who then charge you $400 a night for a room that cost $150 5 years ago. Number 5, the Office Offensive, downtown Manhattan, Chicago's Loop, San Francisco's financial district, the towers that touch the sky, the offices where America works. Blackstone owns them too. $300 billion in commercial real estate, the biggest portfolio in history. When you go to work, there's a real chance you're entering a Blackstone building. But here's the twisted part.
With Thrivent, your financial plan.
Oh man, I was ready to hear the twisted part. How much worse could it get? I mean, so far everything's been, doom and gloomy, but I mean, how much worse could it get? I mean, yeah, they own everything. They're playing a serious game of Monopoly, boy. If you ain't ever played Monopoly, go play that game now. And then once you win or lose, then you'll understand what's happening right now. Oh my gosh, they hit us with a double ad. But yeah, so hopefully you're getting a good lesson, a good crash course on this so far, because so far we're getting a good understanding as to, why things are the way they are and how things are looking, and what is it that we could possibly do to make a change about this situation, because we're really running out of options here. But let's go ahead and pull this video back up on the screen and continue this video, because this is super interesting. Here we go.
There's a real chance you're entering a Blackstone building. But here's the twisted part. These aren't just investments, they're power plays. Owning the offices means controlling where companies locate, what they pay, how cities develop. When Amazon wanted new headquarters, who do you think was lobbying cities for tax breaks? When Google needs space, who sets the price? When your startup needs an office, who decides if you can afford to exist? Willis Tower in Chicago, once the Sears Tower, symbol of American enterprise. Now, it's this guy's tower. Okay, but jokes aside, if you are enjoying the video so far, please consider subscribing. These take a long $270 billion. The tax breaks they negotiated? Worth $270 million. That's your money, subsidizing their empire. The work-from-home revolution should have crashed office values, but Blackstone's betting against you, buying distressed offices cheap, waiting for companies to force workers back, playing both sides of your daily commute. Number 4, the mobile home monopoly. Think Blackstone only targets the middle class? Wrong. They're coming for everyone. Mobile home parks, the last affordable housing in America, where working families, seniors, veterans find shelter they can actually afford. Blackstone owns 70,000 mobile home lots. 70,000. These aren't investments. They're captive markets. Here's the cruelty. You might own your mobile home, but Blackstone owns the land beneath it. And moving a mobile home costs $10,000 or more, if it's even possible. Most can't be moved at all. So when Blackstone raises lot rent, you're trapped. Pay or abandon your home, the home you own, on land they control. In Florida, lot rents have doubled in Blackstone parks. Doubled. Seniors on Social Security seeing their $400 rent become $800. Veterans choosing between medication and shelter. This isn't economics, it's exploitation. Bob Wilson, 73, Navy veteran, lived in his mobile home for 20 years. Owned it outright, his pride and joy. Then Blackstone bought the park. Lot rent went from $350 to $900 in 3 years. His Social Security, $1,400 a month. I fought for this country, he says. Now I can't afford to live in it. Number 3, the data center dominance. The internet, the cloud, your photos, emails, entire digital life. Where does it live? Increasingly in Blackstone-owned data centers. $100 billion. That's their
Blackstone-owned data centers? Oh my gosh. This dude's okay, wait a minute. Time out. So I did videos on data centers before. We did a data center talk about Sam Altman's data center, but it turns out this the dude that really owned them, because he got the land of the... Oh boy, when you connect the dots, you start to connect the dots, you start to see, okay, Sam Altman, then this guy. I wonder if you go to... Let's just say they would stick together. Let's just say it like that. They gonna stick together. Hoo-wee. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, they gonna stick together. If you read, you would understand what I mean.
Data center war chest, $100 billion to own the physical infrastructure of the digital age. Northern Virginia, the data center capital of the world. 70% of global internet traffic passes through there. And Blackstone, they're buying everything they can touch. But data centers aren't just buildings, they're power, literal power. One Blackstone data center uses as much electricity as 50,000 homes. The strain on the grid? Massive. Your electricity bill? Rising. Their profits? Soaring. Worse still, these centers get massive tax incentives. Loudoun County, Virginia, gave Blackstone $100 million in tax breaks for buildings that employ maybe 50 people. Meanwhile, schools
You telling me
dollars in tax breaks for buildings that
you telling me a building this big employs 50 people? Talk about ruthless.
employ maybe 50 people. Meanwhile, schools need funding, roads need repair, but Blackstone needs subsidies.
Oh, wait, hold on. It's not all bad. Hold on. The founder of Blackstone, actually, let me give him some credit where credit is due. Let me give him a little credit. Where is it? I actually have it right here. Where is it? Where is it? I just read it. He actually donates to schools. He gave $100 million to where is that school right there? Is it Abington Senior High School? Yeah, I think he gave him like a new stadium or something. He donated like $100 million to something else. I just can't find it at this moment when I need it. But he's giving to schools, the ones he went to. He's like, but those are the ones he went to. But to the other schools, I mean, he may be kind of like, he might have this attitude towards it.
FYM. Fuck y'all motherfuckers,
Just saying.
Every Netflix show you stream, every Zoom call you make, every photo you upload, there's a growing chance it's making Blackstone money. They're not just landlords of homes, they're landlords of the internet itself. Number 2, the student housing scheme. Your kid's college dorm? Blackstone probably owns it. $20 billion in...
Okay, I'm gonna have to give you an L for that one. You said Blackstone probably owns it. You can't just like throw that on them if you don't got the facts to back it up. So you can't do that. That's not fair. You can't just be like, oh, they probably own it. Now you hating. That's not cool. Don't do that.
Student housing acquisitions, $20 billion. While families mortgage their futures for education, Blackstone's collecting rent on both ends.
Nah, you can't say that. There was no facts. You said probably. So I'm gonna have to skip out. I'm gonna have to stop the video on that one because the simple fact that buddy, he went from facts and then he started just saying they probably own that too. Like, nah, you can't do that, buddy. You can't do that. But however, you did do a good job on the video because what I was researching did check out. So shout out to you in that video. Yeah. All right. Well, as we see, Blackstone. Oh, he said Black Rock too. Oh, it is Black. Is it Blackstone or Black Rock? I think it's Stone. It's Blackstone, right? Yeah, it is Blackstone. I thought he said Black Rock at the end. Okay, so. Oh, hold on.
The global.
There we go. Okay, so basically we got a good understanding of Blackstone and who runs everything as far as Blackstone goes. So we see that they own a lot. By they, I mean like the company in general, but there's a chairman and a CEO of the company, which is one and the same person, but I digress. So now we understand how Blackstone works and we see how much Blackstone owns, and we got a good understanding about their portfolio as far as how much assets they own, and it's up to $1 trillion. It's a lot of friggin' money. And they're getting data centers and stuff like that. So Blackstone is they're winning the monopoly game. We'll just have to go ahead and say we'll have to just call a spade on that one. Now we're gonna go in and we're gonna take a look at the global housing crisis. It's a short video. It's only gonna be about 3 to 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And we're going to see how the global housing crisis is looking. So we just looked at this crisis that's going on here in America, and we're seeing one of the companies that's doing a lot of ruckus because, they said they own like 6% of like Tampa, Florida or something like that. So there's other companies that own stuff too, but, they're saying that they're the biggest one. So now we're going to look at the global housing crisis and see exactly how this looks. So let's go ahead and dive on over to this next video. This next video is going to talk about the global housing crisis in just 5 simple minutes. So let's get this started.
The global housing market has reached boiling point. Sydney, Australia. Homes are becoming increasingly unaffordable, meaning a whopping 90% of aspiring first-time homeowners are unable to buy a property. Dublin, Ireland. The amount of adults living with their parents has almost doubled in a decade. Less than a third of people under the age of 30 own
that sounds like America, to be quite honest. I mean, he said Dublin, but I mean, are you sure you don't live over here in America, buddy? Because it sounds like us. I digress. Let's continue.
Their home, Buenos Aires, Argentina.
And by the way, before I start this video is 1 year old. So this video came out a year ago, just to give you some context.
Inflation tops 160%. Landlords are unable to collect rents, causing vacant homes and homeless tenants. New York, USA. Apartments remain in incredibly short supply, leading to overcrowding and relocation of many residents. In all of these cases, people have been squeezed out of affordable housing. Rising prices, fueled by factors ranging from speculation to limited land availability, have made owning a home a distant pipe dream for millions. This is especially true for young adults who are finding themselves priced out of the very neighborhoods they grew up in. The severe shortage of housing is making things worse. To put it simply, not enough houses are being built. But why has it come to this? What exactly has caused the conditions we are seeing today? Once upon a time, a family could afford to buy a house, raise children, and live comfortably on a singular income. This was not because society was richer, it was because there was an adequate supply of housing. Post-World War II, the UK government in particular ramped up social housing, with construction peaking in the 1960s. Back then, housing was viewed as a commodity rather than an investment. Instead of acting as a wealth creation tool, its main function was to provide a roof over heads. Then, something changed. Deregulation of financial markets, decreased interest rates, and easier access to mortgages turned housing into a lucrative investment asset. Wall Street's creation of complex mortgage instruments fueled a speculative bubble, which continued to grow throughout the 1990s and 2000s. Here,
I always thought that. I always thought whoever turned housing into a lucrative market for wealth, I thought that was a bad idea. I always thought that your house should be a house, like your place where you live at. But to turn it into a lucrative thing, like the game of Monopoly, basically, then the way the game Monopoly ends explains like actual living existence.
House prices exploded in growth. Despite the 2008 housing market crash, attitudes towards its profits remained. Since the pandemic, growth has created yet another overinflated market, similar to pre-2008 levels. In 1980, around 45% of British and American people lived in their own property with their own children. Today, that percentage is just 20%. With no fix in sight, the trend will continue until the middle-class American dream finally fizzles out for good. Let's take a closer look at Ireland. Their housing market has inflated far beyond any other area of its economy. From 2012 to 2022, wages increased by 27% compared to a 75%.
Jesus, look at this. Look at this. Wow, look at that. Look at that. This is Ireland. 27% wage increase, 75% housing price increase, 90% rent increase, bruh. From 2012 to 2022. Now, if you look at it at this perspective, this is what they're going through in Ireland. This is the same thing we're going through here in America. Same thing, different place. Boy, that's crazy.
5% increase in residential property prices and a 90% increase in rents. This has led to a huge downturn in home ownership. So, where are these people living? Are they just renting more? Well, not really. As I said before, rental prices have increased more than houses themselves. What we are seeing is a rise in young people not moving out of their childhood home, as well as a rise in evictions leading to homelessness. A remarkable 68% of adult males between the ages of 25 to 29 are still living with their parents. For context, this percentage in the rest of Europe is 42%, and this percentage in Ireland just a decade ago was 36%. This rate has almost doubled, caused by the exponential difficulty in affording rent with an average income, especially in cities like Dublin. Similarly, Sydney has become ridiculously expensive. They are the second least affordable city in the world for housing, behind Hong Kong, who are first, mainly due to their extreme concentration of wealth.
Man, you telling me Sydney's more expensive than San Francisco and LA? And LA is ridiculously expensive. So you're telling me, I know Hawaii is expensive, but Sydney and, ooh wee, boy, oh boy. Now this is global. This is Asia. This is Australia. Vancouver, was that Canada, up there in Canada? So that's North America. Another North America, San Jose. I'm gonna say it's North America. Auckland, Jesus, my world geography. Auckland, where are you? Oh, I'm not gonna say. So as we're looking at a global situation, y'all. This is global. This ain't just an American thing. This is global.
In such a small area, Australian households are drowning in housing debt compared to many other countries. Their household debt to income.
I believe Auckland, New Zealand. I think Auckland's in New Zealand. I'm gonna find out.
Ratio is a massive 211%, far exceeding the US ratio of 101%. This means Australians owe more than twice their annual income just to keep a roof over their heads. With house prices increasing by more than a third since the pandemic, this trend will only get worse. Wherever you go, there seems to be a mounting housing crisis affecting hundreds of millions around the world. So we've outlined the problems, but what about solutions? You could say, just build more houses, have the supply and demand form an equilibrium to stabilize prices. The problem is, we are far, far away from an equilibrium. In the UK alone, there are 4 million less homes than needed. The population is 68 million. If the government's target of 300,000 homes built a year was reached, it would still take 50 years to fill the deficit. Across the world, the WEF has estimated a total of 1.6 billion people to be affected by the global housing shortage next year, with the
What? 1.6 billion people to be affected by the housing shorts as of next year, and this video was made a year ago, so right now. Wow. What? Oh my, allegedly, there's 8 billion people on this earth. If it was 10 billion people on this earth, that would be 10%. So that's like 12%, 11%, 13%. What is that? 8 times. Yeah, so that's just like 12, 13, 14%. That's brutal.
Only solution possible decades away. What hope can we have for our near future? Unfortunately, the only way the market can properly reset is through a huge crash, eclipsing that of 2008. Although this would cause untold economic damage, mass unemployment, and a worldwide recession, it could be the only thing to reverse the greedy mindset from viewing housing as a speculative investment to a human necessity.
Okay, well, we got that answer really quickly. So as it seems like one of the answers is we're just gonna have to wait for a freaking crash. So it's not looking too shabby. So you're either gonna make a lot of money and get rich, or you're just gonna sit on the sideline and feel the pain and wait for the inevitable. But then when the crash happens, you have to remember that AI is also taking over your regular job slowly but surely. So you won't be getting employed anytime soon unless you're like a senior in a position, because entry levels and middle tier jobs are out the picture just about, but not all the way. But then again, you know, you have to keep looking, because, you know, it's not really looking like, how do I say this? It's not really looking like a wage is going to help you pay for your rent, your bills, and your utilities. Is kind of where we're at right now. Like, you get a job and you're still going to be behind even if you work 40 hours a week, unless you're making like a shit ton of money, is where we're at right now. However, we have another thing to look at. So this next thing that we're going to look at is another global situation. And this global situation, well, hold on. Let me go ahead and refresh the screen before this happens. All right. So this next thing that we're going to look at, this is another thing that's happening on the other side of the world. We're going to look at a different country this time around. So we're going to see what's going on in a different country. In this situation, this video was made about 2 days ago. So we're going to see what's going on in the country of Greece. We all know Greece had problems in the past when it comes to economics, but now we're going to see how things are panning out right now. So we're going to look at Greece's population crisis. All right, so we're going to look at Greece. We're looking at things that's going on around the world. So we looked at America. We just looked at the global crisis, global housing crisis, as far as Australia, Europe, and America or Canada goes. Now we're going to look at Greece's population crisis, and we're going to see how they're going. This is another short video, but just bear with me. Just kind of hang in there. We're learning and educating ourselves to see that the situation is not just in one place. The situation is all over the place. And there's only one solution for you to get out of this situation. That's what we got to find. We're seeing the problem, then we're seeing where the problem is, and then we're seeing how to solve the problem later on. So just, stick with me and let's just see where this takes us. All right, we're still going. So with that being said, we're going to pull up this next video right here, and we have Greece's population crisis going on. So let's start from the beginning. Here we go.
Workforce and now shuttered schools. It's been years since Greece ended its painful economic crisis, but now the country is facing another emergency, a population decline. Greece's population could shrink by 25% by 2070. People are not having enough babies. So Elon Musk has predicted the death of Greece, and the country has decided to shut schools, hundreds of them, because there are not enough children to fill the classrooms. Well, this may sound strange, but Greece is not the only country that is facing this predicament. Here's a report.
Now, before she gets started, she said that by 2070, so where are we at? We're 2025, so in 50 years, we'll be at 2075. So 25% decrease by 2070. So if we do the math on that, that would mean every year the population would decline, if my math serves me correctly, 0.5%. So 0.5% every single year, all the way up till the year 2070, Greece population will be declining.
Greece is in crisis, and we are not talking about the economic one. The country is facing a population crisis. Projections suggest that by 2070, Greece's population could shrink by as much as 25%. This is way above the European average of 4%. In 2022, the country recorded less than 77,000 births. It was the lowest in almost a century. In 2023, deaths nearly doubled that number, reaching 140,000. Given the urgency of the issue, the Greek government established its first ever ministry dedicated to tackling the demographic challenge in 2023. But things haven't changed. Greek women now have their first child at an average age of over 32. And fertility rate, meaning the number of children per woman, has fallen to 1.35. This is among the lowest in Europe. And from empty maternity wards to classrooms, the reality is staring at everyone. According to data from the Ministry of Education, the number of students in primary education has fallen by more than 100,000 in the past 7 years. It is a 19% drop. So now, Greece is shutting down more than 5% of its schools. Given the steep decline in childbirth, there are not enough pupils. So more than 750 schools will suspend operations for the new academic year. It is so
750 schools are suspending education, and they had a 19% drop when it comes to, wee. This is not looking good at all. This is horrible. Wow.
So shocking that Elon Musk has unsurprisingly predicted the quote-unquote death of Greece. While that is an exaggeration, this country is not an isolated case. Japan is going through something similar. It is shutting schools, especially in rural areas. And this year, South Korea will shut almost 50 schools, all thanks to the worsening birth rate crisis.
Okay, did you see that? Greek population could shrink by as much as 25. Number of primary students sees a 19% drop in the past 7 years. Okay, that's what that was. Okay.
From Asia to Europe, North to South America, country after country is battling a population emergency. According to the UN, the world fertility rates are in unprecedented decline. Fewer children born means fewer workers, meaning labor shortages and slower economic growth. A population decline creates an aging society, which also puts more pressure on social welfare. But why is this happening? According to the UN, Financial burden is the biggest reason why people aren't having kids. Specifically, 39% people don't have enough money to raise children. 22% people cannot afford the ideal housing to raise kids, and 18% cannot afford reliable childcare. These are big issues. Government after government has tried to solve them, mostly by throwing money at the problem. For instance, by giving baby bonuses, but it rarely works. For instance, China has been giving cash handouts to new parents for years now, but their population has shrunk for a third consecutive year.
Is it new parents, or are they giving it to the mothers? Because that's usually been the problem we've been having lately. These mothers take this money and be like, my baby, my kid. And it's like, bitch, it's a family. You idiot, shut up. That's really what the problem's been. So is it parents, or is it the mother who's going to, just take the kid and just be evil with it? Fix that.
After all, fixing the fertility crisis takes more than this. People need more jobs, better wages, better childcare facilities, affordable education, and so on. Experts say that a range of societal issues are hurting the global population. Until governments work on creating a better social welfare structure, people will keep delaying marriage and having fewer children. The issue is spiraling. And if nothing changes, shuttered schools are just the beginning of bigger problems to come.
Okay, so we see that what's going on there is not looking too shabby, and unfortunately the kids are being affected, which is a very, very, very sad situation. Alright, so we see there, so Japan and Greece are having one and the same problem. So we're constantly seeing a situation where a economy is declining by population. So we have Japan, and also it says South Korea too. If you read the bottom, it says South Korea and Japan are having the same problem, as well as Greece. So we're seeing the population decline go on there. And then the same topic, the same argument came up, which was finances and work and having issues raising kids and potentially housing. So I'm pretty sure rent would be included in there as well. So you can't just take that out of the equation. So as we're seeing, all this stuff is going on. And again, it's a global thing. It is not just happening in one area of the world. We're seeing this going on all over the place. So we have to find a solution. We still haven't came to a solution yet. All we see is just, the arrow going down, and there's no sign of anything coming back up. But we got to pay attention as to what's going on and get to a point to where we can find a solution to what it is you got to do to get out of the situation. We're not there yet. Let's continue. So now we have a new video that came out a few days ago from CNBC. It says, why adulthood became so expensive. We're going to watch a little bit of this video because this video is super long. I ain't going to watch this whole thing. We're going to watch a little bit of this video just to get an understanding as to why adulthood became so expensive. So we saw what happened with Blackstone and how they allegedly own all this land and property and assets and everything else. Plus they own internet. Well, not on the internet, but they run a lot of the internet and data centers and stuff like that. So they got all that going on. Plus we also see that there's issues going on in Greece, Japan, and South Korea. And we're seeing there's a birth decline going on in those places. We're seeing financial issues happening everywhere. So now let's see why adulthood is so expensive. So let's go ahead and look in on this situation right here and dive in a little bit deeper. But before we do, let me actually pull this back. Before we do, let me refresh the screen because it probably is going to hit me with an ad as soon as I do. So that is one thing that you have to focus on. So that's why working and grinding during this period of time in life is very important, because coming out on the other end of this is going to be a serious victory on the other side. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard as hell. One of the hardest situations that you're going to have to deal with if you have anything that's hindering you. For example, if something's hindering you financially, like a wife, an ex-wife, a baby mama, alimony, child, those things of that nature is hindering you. You got to find a way to get rid of it or because that's going to hold you back. it'll be a hell of a lot better and a lot easier if you could be able to focus on those things without having to deal with any of that weight holding you back. Like no dead weight. Shout out to CGA. So no dead weight. Now we got this video up. Let's go ahead and take a dive in and see exactly what's going on with this. So let me, oh my goodness. Are you serious? I rewound the video and they hit me with an ad. I guess they really want their money. CNBC said they want their bread. So yes, you don't want any dead weight going on right now. That's really the thing that's holding a lot of people back. You know, like families. I'm not saying families are a bad thing, but you know, when you have a family, you can't really focus and go 100% hard like you could as a man, because you know you probably have your wife, you know, complaining at you, and then you got kids you got to take care of, and you know, you have different emotions and things like that. And then when things get economically tough, we all know that's a leading cause for divorce. So those things are going to be extremely tough to deal with during these times. Very tough to deal with during these times. And then if you have to go to court is just going to rape you through the coals. But let's continue with this video right here, and let's see exactly why adult has become so expensive. Let's continue. Here we go.
Give it another 20 years and literally no young person will be able to afford to purchase a home, period.
It's a lot harder for young people today to save up for markers of the American dream than it was for previous generations.
Millennials' net worth quadrupled from $3.9 trillion to nearly $16 trillion between 2019 and 2024. But more than half report living paycheck to paycheck.
It's not the overspending, it's the cost of living.
Just thinking about all of the headwinds that a 30-year-old may have, like student loan debt and car loans and credit card debt, and then they have rising rent.
You have a
Man, that student loan debt is brutal. They turn student loan debt into child support. That's just wild.
A lot of people 25 to 34 who are looking to start a family and cannot find a home.
We're actually projecting that about 1 in 4 young adults today will never have kids.
1 in 4 young adults to not have kids. And this is what Institute for Family Studies in 2022. That was 2022. We're in 25. So this is what they're projecting back then and 3 years ago. Now you incorporate that with the global crisis of birth rate declining. You add that to it as well.
Projecting that about 1 in 4 young adults today will never have kids.
Man, and if you think about it, sorry I keep pausing, but if you think about it from what I'm saying, if you keep your head down and you stay focused and you grind and you make it through this tough period of time of life that we are all going through, if we can make it and push through this time right here, the glory, the greatness, I mean, the what do I say? What's the word? Is it reward? Whatever it is, just the extreme financial abundance that you're gonna have on the other side if you can push through and make it through this time for the next 10, 15 years. If you keep your head down and just go, the abundance and extreme finances that you're gonna incur on the other side of this is going to be astronomical, that you've never seen before. And like, you're gonna have just a life that you've never expected. That's why I'm like, just understand all of this, but then look at the big picture on the other end of it. Because what they're doing, it's like they doing some Thanos endgame stuff right now, and you got to figure out how to make it to the other side without being, you know, losing faith, losing confidence, losing purpose, losing the will, losing your drive. You can't let none of that get taken from you, because that's what they're going after. And you can't let it be taken from you. You gotta fight through and push through it. But let's continue.
Projecting that about 1 in 4 young adults today will never have kids.
Those are people who helped elect the president, who want stable jobs, who want rising wages, who want to be able to do things for their family that they don't feel they can do now.
We're living in 2 separate economies. The American dream that was pitched to the Gen Xers and the Boomers is no longer present in today's world.
Starter homes are disappearing from the United States. In the early 1980s, as many as 40% of the new homes built were considered entry-level. By 2023, just 9% fit the criteria.
Give it another 20 years and literally no young person will be able to afford to purchase a home, period.
Meanwhile, a slowdown is mounting in the home building industry, which could contribute to the ongoing decline of the starter home.
Both housing starts and building permits, which are an indicator of future construction, have slowed down this fall, and it's not just seasonal.
There are over 3 million potential first-time home buyers in the country. They're up against high home prices that keep rising.
What you're starting to see are mini price bubblets in markets that are an hour, 2 to 3 hours from major metropolitan cities.
It is such an unusual market because we have an all-time low of first-time home buyers, but an all-time high of all cash buyers.
So,
well, we understand why that is. An all-time low of first-time home buyers and all-time high of cash buyers. Well, we just saw that. We just looked at one of the reasons why that is happening. So we see that these corporations are just buying out of crazy and turning your living situation into a lucrative business and playing a game of Monopoly, basically pricing you out of life and trying to leave you homeless. And we read the quote from the dude as well. We read the quote from the CEO of Blackstone where he basically said, "I want war. I don't want any skirmishes. I want to find out how to kill the other bidder." And if he's talking about real estate, that other bidder would probably be you when you're trying to get a home.
Where did all the starter homes go? A starter home is typically modest in size and price.
It's the most affordable home in any market. If you're in the Midwest, maybe it's in the $100,000 range. If you're in California, a starter home might be in the $400,000 range.
To me, a starter home used to be a smaller condo, a smaller space, and someone would upgrade maybe after 5 years as they get married or have a family and want to move. But now we're actually seeing that most people are buying their first home as a single family residence and really planning on staying in place.
America's home builders are making fewer of these kinds of units.
If you look at the number of single-family starter homes, those defined as being 1,400 square feet or smaller, we used to supply anywhere between 400 and 500,000 units a year.
Over the past decade, builders have put up less than 100,000 homes each year.
Really, by far, the number one reason is the increasing difficulty that many builders have in dealing with zoning regulations.
Zoning laws are set at the local level. These laws can determine the size of each lot in a neighborhood. They can also specify how far a structure is set back from the property line, how tall it is, or how many units are on site. In many cases, these laws create an opportunity for local residents to challenge new development. The residents often raise concerns like overcrowding of schools and wear and tear on local roads.
A lot of this has to do with density restrictions within local communities. They may not want a townhouse or a condo community coming in, but they absolutely will welcome a single family community.
Zoning codes are found all around the country. The most restrictive ones are often found in major cities.
Many build
2024, but that plan fell through. Since then, she's moved to Atlanta to live with her sister and come up with a new plan.
I did grow up in Baltimore. I gave Baltimore a shot in my adulthood with my children, and I did the 9 to 5 and, attempted to buy a house there and everything. But Baltimore wasn't providing just the lifestyle resources.
Baltimore is not supposed to provide anything for you. You're supposed to provide and bring it to Baltimore. That's the mindset that you do not need to have.
Community that is needed for me to thrive, and Atlanta has been able to kind of just support me more.
Experts say that more dense forms of housing could have helped first-time buyers, particularly.
Don't have that mindset. You better support you and yours. Don't think that the city is supposed to support you. You're supposed to be able to support you and yours. Don't think like that, because that mindset going into where we're at now and into the future, it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good. That's not how you want to be thinking.
In crowded areas.
We do know that local communities are trying to address the lack of housing inventory in pretty unique ways. So accessory dwelling units is certainly a popular approach right now. That's one solution, but I think we need to be looking at adaptive reuse as well. So looking at vacant hotel motels, looking at vacant residential malls, and how do we bring residential housing units into those areas?
Much of the new construction since 2020 is in luxury apartments with units that are not for sale.
The recent boom in multifamily construction has been on the higher luxury end, but it's easier for multifamily developers to get in and pencil that many apartments because they're renting them, and rents have been very high.
Finances are a big barrier for first-time buyers. The premium paid to buy a home has increased sharply relative to renting over the past decade. The increases in home prices have also outpaced increases in wages. As a result, home sales are down across many markets, and the median age of the typical first-time home buyer has climbed to 38. That's up from age 29 in 1981.
Just thinking about all of the headwinds that a 30-year-old may have, like student loan debt and car loans and credit card debt, and then they have rising rent. And so keeping that all in mind, it's hard to save for a down payment when housing affordability is really out of reach.
The problem is you have the most demand on the low end of the market because affordability is so rough right now, but you also have the least supply on the low end of the market.
I mean, it sounds, good when you look at it like that, but at the end of the day, you do got to think about this. It's a system designed to be the way it's supposed to be. That's all it is. It's a system running according to the way it's designed to run, and it's just running exactly the way it's supposed to. We're going through an economic cycle that was pre-planned. That's all it is. It's part of the plan. That's all it is. Understand it. Don't fear it. Understand it. And you got to have a certain mindset going in, but one thing you cannot have is just dead weight holding you down. That's the thing. You got a dead weight of a loser that is on your back holding you down. You got to get rid of it. Whatever it is, get rid of it. You can't allow it. You have to be selfish in this situation to thrive further. You don't want to be dealing with anything or anybody. You want to be focused on succeeding and being successful, or how the Gen Z said, you want to have successfulness. Successfulness. Gen Z has created a new word.
Average price of homes has increased rapidly too. Nationwide,
in 4 years, home prices increased 53%, bruh. 53%. In 4 years. That is crazy. Thank you to all you Californians and New Yorkers that moved to Austin, Texas. Y'all really suck.
Home prices have climbed over 52%. But
although I do understand why you did it. And if I was in your situation, I would have made the move too. So I can't even knock you.
Between January 2020 and October 2024. Adding to the burden, mortgage rates have returned to their standard historical range, near 7%. Homeowners with a mortgage are paying 29% more than they would if they rented the same house. Dynamics like that are shutting out all but the highest income Americans out of the market, at least on average.
We're seeing first-time homebuyers come into the market using inheritance, using 401k or stocks, cashing those out, combining all of these resources, and actually making an all-cash purchase.
Investors are buying homes too, but economists saw their shares jump to an all-time high in 2024. Still, they make up a tiny fraction of the overall housing stock.
The issue of large-scale investors is really not an issue. If you look at their share of the market, it's only 1% to 2%. However, if you look within fast-growing markets, particularly those that are affordable, and in the South, those entities are making it a little bit more difficult for buyers to purchase. Having said all that, if there was a normal amount of supply and we didn't have the shortage, this would not be really an issue.
With elevated prices on the market, today's buyers may need to rely on outside help to finance a home.
I think it's increasingly difficult to buy that first home if you don't have help. In a more affordable market, it's $400,000. That means you have to come up with $80,000 in down payment if you assume.
$400,000 home, 20% down, $80,000 down payment. Monthly payment $2,100. And the reason why they for those who don't know, the reason why they tell you to put 20% down is because if you put anything under 20%, you're gonna have a what's it called, a mortgage insurance premium on your loan. So you'll have basically a mortgage, then you'll have an insurance payment on top of your mortgage. So you'll basically just have like two payments to if you put under 20%. So that's why the magic number is always 20%. So you can not have to pay a mortgage insurance premium, paying an insurance on your first on your first mortgage. It's really screwed up, but that's what they do. So you always want to try to get 20% because they will make you pay a separate payment, a second mortgage, which is a mortgage insurance premium for anything under 20%. So there's that. And if you ever get a house, and remember this for as long as you live, if you ever get a home, always take the longer term, okay? If you got a choice between a 10-year term, a 15-year term, 20-year term, or a 30-year term, always take the longest term. Take the longest term. Why? Because if you take a 10, 15, or 20-year term, you're going to have higher payments, and, life happens. So you never know what's going to happen in 10 years or 20 years or whatever. But you're going to go through ups and downs of life. Your payment is going to be based off that 10 or 20 year term, which means your payment most likely is going to be higher, and you're still going to have to make that payment. If you do a 30-year term, your payment is going to be smaller, but you have a longer term. However, you could always pay off your home faster. You can always pay off your home shorter with a 30-year term. Okay? You can always make more payments and still pay off your home in 10 or 20 years with a 30-year term. But if you do a 10 or 20-year term, your mortgage payments is going to be higher, and you still got to pay it off in a 10 or 20-year time frame, as opposed to this 30-year term. You'll have a little bit of a smaller payments, and of course, more of it is going to go to insurance to interest. However, if you want to, you can pay off your monthly payment, and then anything extra you can put towards the principal to help pay off the loan faster. If you want to pay it off in 10 or 20 years, you can with a 30-year term. As opposed to 10 or 20-year term, you're going to have a higher monthly payment, and you have to pay it off, in that time frame. If you do 30, you have the flexibility of you still making payments, but you can choose if you want to put more money down each time you make a payment towards the principal to pay it off faster. It just makes more sense to do a 30-year term because you can still pay it off in 10 to 20 years if you want to with the lower monthly payment. So just keep that in mind.
The typical conventional loan, it's really difficult to come up with that down payment. So we do see in the data increasingly more consumers getting help, whether that's from their parents or from down payment assistance programs.
There are over 2,400 down payment assistance programs nationwide. Depending on your income and where you live, the aid can be substantial.
I haven't purchased a home yet, and I've been in the process of purchasing a home. But being in this process, I definitely have more of a optimistic, perspective with home buying now. And I just talked to a realtor here, and she even told me that you are able to purchase a home even with a credit score of 500 and something. So I think it's just a matter of taking the initiative and knowing that you can be a homeowner.
Just remember that real estate agent is trying to catch a sale. Just keep that in mind. A real estate agent is trying to catch a sale. So don't fall for that. You know what I mean? Know your finances and know what you're able to do. That real estate agent got bills just like you do. So don't be a fool.
Regulation at all levels of government affect how homes are built. Experts say they're holding back new construction.
This crisis is worsened by various factors, including rising construction costs, regulatory burdens, and limited availability of buildable land.
There's definitely excessive regulation, a lot of inefficient local zoning.
The zoning codes really originated nearly a century ago, and it made sense at the time. However, since then, there's been an increasing thicket of layers that have made it increasingly difficult for builders. This is sort of the concern, unfortunately, with policy, is sometimes you have to think about in advance things that can go wrong. So think about zoning. It made sense in the 1900s. It began in New York City. It made sense if you needed meat packing plants to be a little bit away from residential areas. But you take that to an extreme and out of New York City and into middle America, and then it causes problems.
Regulation at this point can make up 25% of the builder's cost to build that home, and there is a lot of talk of deregulation, especially under the new Trump administration.
Until more housing is built, prices are expected to keep marching upward quickly.
The willing.
All right, so here we go right here. In December 11, 2024, if Trump wants to unalive inflation, the first thing he needs to do is get more homes built. That's what they say. Now, with that being said, let's take a look at something else, because recently we just had a situation come up, and according to them, Trump is considering declaring something. So let's take a look at what Trump is considering to declare. Right here we have Trump considers declaring housing emergency. What that would mean. Well, let's take a look. President Trump may declare a housing emergency. The Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that Trump administration is mulling the declaration of a national housing emergency in an effort to address high housing prices and limited inventory. All right. Now, the Trump administration is thinking about declaring a housing emergency amid stubbornly high costs and limited supply, and officials are considering tariff exemptions for some construction materials and lowering closing costs. Okay. So we have that. So then we're going to go over here to this right here, and we're going to take a look at this short video clip as to the Trump administration basically declaring.
Administration is considering declaring a national housing emergency here in the coming months. This comes as some experts say many feel priced out of the market. Our Tony Sloan joins us live with what this could mean for your money. So, Tony, what do we need to know?
Yeah, Ben, so this comes from the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, who is calling this an urgent, all-hands-on-deck challenge to focus on housing affordability. Now, the goal is to address rising prices and diminishing supply. Now, Bessent says that the Trump administration is also looking into ways to try and simplify permitting and encouraging standardization to boost construction, which would boost housing supply and help to bring high costs down. Now, the affordability side is something we're all too familiar with here in Middle Tennessee.
Of course, they would hit me with a freaking ad in the middle of that short clip. Let them finish this up real fast. It shouldn't take nothing but like 3, 2, 1. Bam. All right, we're back at it. Let's continue this video. It's a very short clip. It's not even 30 seconds left.
Listings are piling up here, and homes are on the market for 2 months or longer without going under contract, as buyers are being sidelined by steep prices. Now, I do want to share a bit of good news that we found while researching the data this morning. According to Realtor.com, the median listing price for a home in Nashville was just over $549,000 in July of this year. Now, this reflects a 2% year-over-year decrease in the median listing price. Experts say that this means the housing market is shifting power from sellers to buyers. So a national housing emergency declaration could drastically impact us here, but there's not a set day for when we could see that go into effect. But Bessent said that it could come.
Okay, well, so the median housing price is still at $500,000. I guess that's a good thing, right? He said, hey, there's hope. There's good luck. Oh, the median housing price is still going down. You know, they've been going down over the few years. It's like, right. Okay, well, even though stuff is still going down, let's just take a look at this article right here and see exactly if it's any good news to a 2% decrease from last year. So we have here is 2025 out of reach. Reports show slightly wage increase aren't keeping up with the cost to fix affordable housing crisis posted July 17th, 2025. Let's go ahead and just take a quick look at this article real quickly. We're going to read this off real quickly. It's going to say right here that, let me make sure you can see this because I can't see on your screen. There we go. It says that it has released, the DnL&x has released the 2025 edition of Out of His Reach report, which chronicles the gulf between the wages people earn and the price of decent rental housing in every state, metropolitan area, and county in the United States. And its year's findings show that not only are average wages not enough for housing available to extremely low-income households, but things could be made far worse with depending deep cuts from the federal government. The data is clear. Half of all rentals in the U.S. are cost-burdening, meaning they spend at least 30% of their monthly income on rent, and 1/4 of all renters in the U.S. are severely cost-burdened, spending at least 50% of their income on rent. The NLIHC calculates general affordability using its housing wage, which is the hourly wage a full-time worker must earn to afford a modest rental home without spending more than 30% of their income on housing costs. This figure shows that while wages have increased slightly, they are not keeping up with a substantial difference in housing costs. In Texas, here, the housing wage for the entire state is, we'll just say, $30 an hour. But going into major cities, required wages climb even higher. When calculating our most populous metropolitan areas, Dallas is at $36, Fort Worth is at $32 or $33, and Austin is at $37.50. However, high prices aren't limited to urban areas. In Kendall County near Bourne, it's $33. In Martin County near Odessa, it's $36. And in Midland, it's $36 as well. As a reminder, the minimum wage in Texas is the federal minimum wage of $7.25. The average renter wage in Texas is $25. I don't think that's true. In no state, metropolitan area, or county can a full-time minimum wage worker afford a modest 2-bedroom rental home at fair market rent. In fact, Texas, an individual must work 164 hours per week at minimum wage to afford a 2-bedroom rental at fair market rent, or 137 hours per week to afford a 1-bedroom rental home. Who the hell is working 164 hours a week? 164 hours a week. Who's working that? I mean, I've heard people work 80 to 100 hours a week, but 164 hours a week? I mean, I'm not the smartest man in the world, but let me do some quick math real quick. How many hours are in a day, everybody? We all know that there's 24 hours in a day. 24 hours in a day times 7 days. That's 168 hours are in a week. Let me hold on. Let me say that again. 24 times 7 is 168. In here, and this is, and they're saying if you're working a minimum wage job, okay, which is $7.25, an individual must work 164 hours a week. That's to afford a 2-bedroom rental home. I wouldn't even say a rental home. I say a rental apartment, and 137 hours per week to afford a 1-bedroom rental home. So, yeah, at the end of the day, no, you're not getting it. It's not going to happen. And here it is right here. 2-bedroom housing wage. You need to make $33.63. This is what you have to make in order to basically get yourself into some. This is ridiculous. This is crazy. This is crazy. So yeah, they're basically just letting you know that they're pricing everybody out of living. Shout out to CGA, but it's a fact. That's what they're doing. They're pricing everybody out of living in every shape, form, or facet. That's what they're doing. And if you have any dead weight that is hindering you or harming you or pulling you down, it is severely screwing you over, because unfortunately, in these times, if you are dealing with any kind of alimony, child support, any kind of bitter female that is like pulling at you, or a kid that's not working, or a child or an adult that you have that is not working, or something of those nature, that's going to be pulling at you substantially and hindering you from making any progress forward, any shape, form, or fashion. And right now is not the time to be dealing with that, because it's like either you get pulled down into this perpetual cycle of poverty that we're heading into if you don't make something happen, or you can be in a extreme state of prosperity if you can pull yourself out of this and figure out a way to make something happen. But you got to get rid of the dead weight that you're dealing with, because it's serious. They're not playing around, and they've basically made so much money that they're at a point where they can literally make everybody into slaves, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to make it happen, whether you like it or not, whether you complain, whether you revolt, or whatever the case may be. Let me show you this chart real quick right here. Speaking of that, right here. How much do I need to earn to afford a modest apartment in your state? Hourly wage required to afford a 2-bedroom rental home by state. Now, we don't know how. Oh, here it goes right here. So if you make below $22.50, you're going to be light blue to afford a 2-bedroom rental home. If you make between $250 and $30, you're going to be medium blue. You'll be able to afford a 2-bedroom home. And then and if you're dark blue and you make above $30, you'll be able to afford a rental home. So I guess these places would be considered Midwest, I assume. This is the Midwest, I think, right? Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. I guess this is considered Midwest. Then you have the South. The South down here is going to be medium blue, which is between $22.50 and $30, except for Florida, because Florida has a whole lot of these people over here in it now. So I would say, yeah, anything on the coast. So East Coast and West Coast is going to be expensive. Texas right now, for the moment, is still hanging on by a thread, but a lot of these people over here and over here are coming down here to Texas. So Texas, I think, is going to be dark blue, not before too much longer. Florida is already dark blue, and we all know with the hedonism and the escorting and the sugar baby and the sugar daddy and you know, all the Bitcoin millionaires and all that stuff going on down there in Florida. It's inflating the prices, and it's the same thing with California. California is the pornographic haven, but also the high cost of living, because you got the ocean. So you got the sun tax, you got the ocean and all that. And the same thing with Florida. The Florida is the same way too, but however, you have an abundance of melting pot of people and, you know, women who are consumers by nature, who, by the way, women are the drivers of consumerism. Women are 85% the consumers in the world or country, and they control $31 trillion of consumer spending. So where you have a heavy population of rich or of beautiful women and rich men, you're going to have a expensive society, except for probably like Oregon and Washington. I hear Oregon ain't looking too good, but you are on the coast over here in Oregon, right by California. But like places like Nevada, Florida, I didn't know Colorado was going to be expensive. I didn't know Colorado was an expensive place. So yeah, that's going to be one of those things, unfortunately. Yeah. But, you know, you have to focus on not being priced out, and that's where we're headed. They're trying to price us out. There's no other way around it. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let me see. Can I undo that? Close tab. I can. Okay, cool. Perfect. It let me do it. So yeah, that's what we got to focus on, not being priced out. Now, with that being said, speaking of not getting priced out, looking into the future, as we're dealing with all of this stuff right now, okay? Now we're looking at it. We're seeing housing, we're seeing finances, we're seeing birth rate decline. We're seeing all this stuff happen. Okay, now let's take a little bitty tiny look at how the surveillance of said future is going to start happening. Here's a little tiny glimpse. I gotta refresh the screen, but we're gonna take a look at how these future properties are going to be surveilled and protected in the future. And you're probably not going to believe the way this is going to look, but this is going to be rather interesting if you can look at this little piece right here and just take this and carry it out into the future. It's going to show you how the surveillance state and how things are going to be moving forward, especially when you include robots and AI into the equation. We're not in the AI yet, but this is going to be our segue into it. We might not have no time to get into the AI segment of the show, but this is going to be a good Kickstarter. So here we go. As we see right here, we have Atlanta apartment employs crime-fighting robot dog. All right, so we got robot dog in the picture. Let's take a look and see what RoboDog is doing. Here we go.
The owner of a Southwest Atlanta apartment complex has teamed up with an Atlanta City councilman to try another innovative approach to reducing crime. They're using high-tech robots as security dogs to monitor a sprawling apartment complex on Cleveland Avenue. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor tells us how this robot is different from all the others.
This is Beth, an AI-powered, cost-effective robot that plans to deter crime, not replace officers. Beth is a software-powered robotic dog with 360 cameras and even a siren on her back. But But what makes Beth different from other artificial intelligence robots you've seen, like Spunky on Boulevard, is a human is actually monitoring this droid in real time from Bogota, Colombia. These robotic dogs will integrate with more than 30 stationary cameras that apartment complex 445 Cleveland already has.
Our operator who's physically watching those cameras needs to deploy the dog. It's all in one system, and they're just controlling it like they would, like they're playing a video game at home, except it's not a video game, it's Beth.
Wolf says Beth will be more effective because she can move anywhere on the property in 60 seconds. She even climbs stairs. District 12 Councilman Antonio Lewis says this advanced technology will help police, not replace them.
What we did before didn't work. We cannot lock our way up out of this. This is us reimagining public safety, us using the technology and the tools that are available to us.
Owner Wolf says Beth's entire ecosystem is Georgia-based. The software is created by an Atlanta company called Undaunted, and the price is a third of the cost of other AI computers.
I think Beth is going to prevent young folk like myself who would have tried something. Once you see this dog, you're not going to even try it because it's going to get loud. It's going to say, hey, how can I lead you out of these apartments?
This Cleveland Avenue complex is excited. These crime-fighting robots should be in place by the end of the year.
Well, yeah, Demolition Man activated is where we're at right about now. Oh man, it's all for the games until oh my god. Okay, so if you look, you know what? Let me do one more clip. Before I say what I'm finna say. So as we see, we got Robo Dog on the scene with an apartment complex, okay? We got that. Now, let's look at one more clip, but let's take a look at a live clip, okay? Let's look at a real clip, okay? This is actually a dude who recorded him having a convo with a security dog. So we just seen it on the news, but now I found a clip of somebody who took their phone out and recorded the dog in action. So let's take a look at this video. Check this out. Here we go.
This is what security for the apartments. This is what security for the apartments.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we do security monitoring around the area.
That's dope. Okay. Well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk by you.
We'll be parking now.
Hey, where's building B at?
Sorry.
Where's building B?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Where is building B?
Building D.
B. B as in boy.
B as in boy. Can you follow me?
Okay.
Alright, if you can see that building right there, beside the gate, that's building B.
Okay. This is what security for
Okay, well, as you can see, yeah.
Oh my god.
As you can see, Robo Dog has a Indian accent.
Oh my god.
So as you can see, Robo Dog is in full effect, and Robo Dog is going to protect the apartment complex starting off. So as you see, we have our first piece of AI robots out on the street right now, and I'm just gonna tell you, it's not gonna be too much longer until they're gonna be put in multiple apartment complexes coming so soon to a city near you. And I think that's where, I don't know where he's at. He might be in Atlanta. I'm not sure. But that's just giving you a snippet of what's to come in the future, to see one in real live action as opposed to just on the news. Now, remember earlier, we don't have the video anymore. The video's gone. I actually took the video down. Dang it. Well, if you go back and remember the previous video that I was doing about Blackstone, remember they were talking about Blackstone, how Blackstone owned all these assets, like $1.1 trillion in assets or some craziness like that, right? And has like real estate and apartments and land and all this stuff, right? But also remember that it said it also has land for where the data centers are. Where the data centers are. The data centers are sitting on some of Blackstone's properties or land or whatever, right? So think about that. Now, if Blackstone is like in cahoots with the data centers, who you think is going to be helping control these robo dogs and any other kind of robotics when it comes to their assets that they have? So if you have like a neighborhood or if you have an apartment complex that's owned by Blackstone, this is just me going on a whim, I would assume that, you know, if you also have a data center where if you have land and somebody has their data center on top of it, you probably go in cahoots and be like, hey, I need some of those AI robots to be security and surveillance for my investments that I have back over there yonder. So as you can see, this is going to map out very, very well. I mean, you can connect the dots on these easily. This ain't rocket science. This ain't hard for you to see. You can already see this coming. So they're going to be putting these things out for sure. And it's going to be happening a lot quicker than you think. So if you didn't think robots was coming, you got another thing coming. Yeah. Yeah, man, they not playing around out here, man. They not playing with their money. I tell you that much. They're super serious about their money. I wish I didn't get rid of that video. I'm trying to find it. I know I got rid of it. I did. Yeah, I did get rid of it. But yeah, that's where we're headed. That's what's going on. You know what I mean? That's what we're looking forward to. That's how things are going to be moving in the near future. So the solution to all of this that we have looked into, the solution I would say that you would probably want to focus on when moving in forward or going forward with this, like I keep saying, is you have to find a way to, number one, get rid of any extra weight that you have that's pulling you down by any means necessary. Get rid of that weight. Somebody tugging on you, any debt that you're in, anything that's hindering your finances. And then you need to find a way to up your financial game, up your finances, and continue to up your finances. Okay, find a way to get rich, because that's the only way out of this, is to get rich. There's no other way but to get rich. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find somebody who speaks on just focusing on getting rich. Let me see real quick. Let me see if I can show y'all a quick understanding about what I mean by getting rich. Let me see. Here we go. Where is it? Here we go. This might be what I'm trying to get you to understand. Let's see. Do I have a quick clip for you to understand right here? This is what you should be trying to aim for. Where is it? Where we got? Is this it right here? I think we can use this clip. Yeah, we can use this clip right here, because the name of it is right here. Bam, there he is right there. Mr. CGA. It says, welcome to Boss Up 2025. Let's see what he's doing. So this is what you need to be trying to aspire to do. Because that's the only way out of this crazy predicament, is to find a way to get your money up by any means necessary at this point. As we can see, the women these past years have been doing just that. They've been getting their money up by any means necessary, and everybody's been shaming them and complaining about it. But now, when all the chips are falling and all the money's crashing, now everybody wants to, complain, but you can't complain, because this is by design. This is not by happenstance. This is by what it's supposed to do. And I've already read the quote by by the founder of Blackstone, and the way he sees things and the way he operates. And he's playing Monopoly just like anybody else. And if you can connect the dots, you can see, I'm pretty sure, I wouldn't put it past him and Sam Altman would work together with the data centers. If you got land and I could put a data center on top of it, we can work together to make this thing happen, because they are one and the same. If you get what I'm saying, if you pay attention, you'll be able to notice that. And I'm not knocking them on what they're doing, but they have an understanding and an agenda on how they want to move, and you should be able to do the same. But you have to get your money up. That's what this is all about. The have and the have-nots. Which one are you going to be? Are you going to be on the Monopoly board losing? Or are you going to be on the Monopoly board winning? That's where we're at right now. There's no other way around it. That's the only way we can go through with this life, is to get our money up, boss up, like CGA said. You gotta grind. You gotta make something happen. Otherwise, you're screwed. That's really it. There's no other way to really explain this. That's the only solution at this point. There's no other solution. I mean, you can build together with people, but that has to be with close friends or close family members, and we all work together in the same unit and do it as a family unit like you're supposed to. That's one way to do it for sure. A lot of people ain't operating like that. A lot of people are not working like that. A lot of families can't get along. A lot of people can't live in the same roof with each other. Everybody wants their personal space and all this stuff. And then when economic times get hard, as far as relationship goes, everybody knows divorce rates go through the roof, and the women are going to be stepping out and leaving their situation. That they're going to leave their marriages, and it's going to be a really hard situation to kind of go through and deal with in these trying times. But you got to find a way to just power through it some way, somehow. You got to find a way to get through it. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough, but it's going to be super rewarding as hell on the other side when you make your way through it. You're going to make your way through it. You just got to keep your head down, stay focused, do what you got to do, and keep grinding, keep hustling. Stay down, stay focused, and push through. Now, we're not going to make it to the AI portion of the show today. Unfortunately, I'm pressed for time, but I'm probably, if I can, later on this evening, if I can make it happen, I'll probably sign on later on this evening to do the AI portion of the show in the evening, just to wrap up the show in one day, to make it happen, to show that I did the show, so it won't be two different shows stretched out across the whole weekend or whatever. So I want to see if I can get later on this evening to do the AI portion of the show with the Stoic versus the Hedonist. So I'm gonna try to get that done later on this evening to see if I can make it happen, because it's not super easy with how my schedule is, but we'll make it work. We'll make it happen. But in the meantime, I got to get up out of here, man. Thank y'all so much for tuning into the show. We will probably be back this evening to finish the AI segment of the show. We'll catch y'all later on this evening. We're gonna we're gonna roll up out of here with our sexy Latina. I love y'all. Take care. Peace.
Follow D. Elliott Fitness for the kind of workouts you'll never forget.
Baby, I'm out for me. Pockets chunky like cottage cheese. Real nigga, I just gotta be. Smoking weed that don't gotta see. Used to be a hustler prodigy. I love when people say they proud of me. I'm eating good, smoking broccoli. Taking over blocks like Monopoly. Only fuck the ones that's my policy. Most of these hoes trying to cause a scene. Like niggas mad they not on the team. See, I got bread, then buy the dream. The game on like, and I got the keys like Jay. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on like, and I got the keys like Jay. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on like, and I got the keys like Jay. Ain't no nigga off the top. In the booth, playing basketball, counting cash and smoking green. Can be blowing cloud like a smoke machine. The bitch on my dick, she got notes to sing. Bumblebee ass, yeah, I know it's thing. I plug your bitch like a 6-string. Jordan with the bitches got 6 rings. Smoke till my bitch a split screen. The press with pain pills and sip lane. Riding dirty, but I'm extra clean. Lyrics nice, but I'm extra mean. All-star heavyweight like Overeem. The bitch nice like she over me. I flip money like Clover G. Gang hustle like TIP. It's hard baby like DIG. Acronym like KRIT. The game on like, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. My fame won't stop, but the only thing I'm chasing. The game on like, and I got the keys like Jay-Z. Don't wait no nigga in off the text. hard shit where your artery. Cutting up, who sharp as me? Rolling up accordingly. Pulling hoes, no sorcery. Rapping like y'all forcing me. If I ain't right, then it's forgery. Nigga selling to the rock like a Forrest beat. Dirk a monster on the Lord of Beats. Text nigga, my bitch Georgia Peach. Pimp like nigga, I do more than cheat. Cold like D-Wade, I ignore the heat. Bitch, I'm on way, hit the short for reach. Money jumping like the nigga on my sneaks. Cop the pair of jeans, give me on the beat. Bitch, I'm always winning like what's the feet? The game on.